Welcome to Unclicked, another episode. We got Zack Warden in town doing some Nitro shows, correct?
Yeah, we're doing this is pretty much a promotional tour for the Off the Rails Nitro tour going around stadiums, and this is the free freaking parking lot tour that we've been doing.
Free freaking parking lot. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. That's
cool. You know, it's one of those things we travel around the country, and it's promoting their stadium tour, so it's a free show, and it's at Walmart parking lots. So not only do we get the normal kind of Nitro Circus audience coming through, but then you have a Walmart parking lot. And one of my favorite parts
I was going to buy toilet paper, and I saw some cool tricks.
Yeah, and then in every single show, I watch 2 or 3 kids walk out with a new bike.
That's cool.
Like, all right, that's this kid's first bike right there. It's got training wheels. Like, this is amazing.
That's
cool.
Cool.
So,
and obviously, welcome Brian Kachinsky.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Co-hosting today. Appreciate you.
I'm honored to be sitting alongside another Midwesterner.
I figured this is an appropriate co-host. So.
Absolutely. I want paint a picture for me what those Walmart setups look like, because I've been in a million Walmart parking lots, of course, and they're huge. So are you guys like in front of the store? Are you kind of back in a corner where you'd have space and not mess with traffic? Because anyone who's been to a Walmart parking lot, I guess if they're from out of the country, they don't know, but it's madness.
It's madness. Yeah. So pretty much a lot of times the Nitro Circus crew, they do spot surveys, and then they kind of find the best spot. And usually we're right in front of the parking lot. And then they have a company come in and put up barricades, so we get a whole chunk. And then Micah Crans with the division has this super awesome ramp that pretty much 8 dudes, we can roll up, set the thing up, do the demo, and be out of there in like 4 or 5 hours. And since Mike has kind of brought this to the equation, it's just been this whole new world, because it's like we have a 30-foot tall Roland sitting in Walmart parking lots. And, you know, I was just talking about it before, but it's like not only do we do these shows, we get this audience of Nitro Circus people, but you get the people that have never seen this. And like at the end, I'll be packing up the ramp, and I'll see 5 kids walk out with like new bikes, you know, and they're Walmart bikes, they got training wheels, but that's also that person's first bike, and that's pretty sick, you know.
That was always the thing I always, like I said about Hyper, was that at least they have that continuation. They have that, they are the Walmart bike company, but they have a team. They have this element. They bring them into the BMX lifestyle, because that is so many kids' first introduction to BMX, and at least it should be a proper one if they get it from there.
Exactly. And it's cool, you know, Nitro Circus is sponsored up with Dickies for this one, so it's like, dude, they're just hooking it up. And like cool. It's cool. What they're doing is like, if you go inside and buy a Dickie shirt, they have all these patches. They got some Dickies patches, Nitro Circus patches, and it's a good time. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah,
it seems like really well planned and thought out.
Dude, it awesome. Is. You got to give credit to Micah Crans, man. Like, that dude works really hard, and like he's put together this team, and it's like, when we show up, it's just like so much fun. It's me, Mason Ritter, Jason Weedhammer, Casey Irving, and then we usually have 1 or 2 people pop in and out. Jacob Lord just hopped on, and I am such a fan of him. Dude, that kid has got it. You know, all of them are just such amazing riders, and it's wild just see Mason like hanging the banner on the 30-foot thing, and you're just like, dude, what are we doing? And then the show starts, and he's doing fronty whips and stuff, and we're just like, this is BMX, like showing up, doing the whole thing. And Nitro's been letting like Andy Buckworth and Brady Baker's been coming out to him as well, and it's also fun. Like Ryan Williams was at this past one, and we'll be rolling the Resi up and just looking over. I'm like, these
in San Diego?
Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, they flew our Willie over for the LA and San Diego shows, and like, that dude's not scared, man. Like, he took his shirt off and was rolling the Resi up with us and like joking, and he was the same dude there as he was on the videos, and it was awesome, man. Yeah. It's cool. So it's fun, man. It's a good time.
Cool.
That's great. And to be a kid, to be introduced to BMX in that setting is just incredible. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
So
you're just going to Walmart, and then all of a sudden you're seeing this stuff, you know. And
craziest.
It's awesome, wild. Like this past weekend, this kid Matt Meacher, who's been on tour, he's awesome. He's like a combo king, but he actually pulled a bike flip, and it was the first time I've seen one in person that in my life that I actually got to watch. And like, it was such a great time. So it's like, we are just out there just sending it. It's like, it's since the invention of the airbag, like, you can just go out there and like the pressure's off. Like, these shows are just so much fun, and like everyone's learning something new every time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No dying.
No dying. And it's also cool, like, Nitros let Micah kind of take over some more responsibilities. So it's like at these events, we're showing up and we're hiring local BMXers to like hang up the Walmart banners. So it's like everything trickling down into BMXers' hands at this point.
Yeah.
And it's like to see a corporation that's so big doing that, to where it's like, hey man, we're going to reach out and just make a post. Like, is there any BMXers that won't work today? Like, and then sure enough, we've got responses at each spot, and it's just like getting local dudes from the community where you're like, oh man, we got these trails, we got this ditch, and it's been so dope.
Yeah, shout out to Nitro, and shout out to Micah for being responsible enough to not, if he's the figurehead, effectively of a brand out representing the brand, and
exactly.
that's that you need somebody responsible.
Exactly.
So, Micah's grown a lot. I didn't mean that in a physical way either. Don't take that joke, Micah.
Tell me about so when I've been to Nitro shows before, they seem obviously super well choreographed, and those are like the arena stadium shows. How does I guess when you guys are doing your powwow before the show, how's that going? Is it like do you guys just do it over breakfast, or is it just
we look around, we see how many riders, and we go, okay, we're doing 3 sections of 3 to 4 jumps, or we're doing 2 jumps because we have too many riders. And then sure enough, every show we're like, only straight jumps in the first one. And then all of a sudden, like, Connor Sitz was with us this weekend, and like, here he is fronty tucking and flip whipping in the first jump, and you're like, well, there's only one way to go now.
It's gonna be like that.
It's gonna be like that, and we always tell ourselves it's gonna be chill. They'll be like, oh, the sun, or we're uphill, and then it's just, once that happens, you're like, oh yeah, this is a bounce house, man. Let's go.
Yeah, it gets real quick.
It's funny. This is when was this? Was this 3 days ago? There you go. They got Buckworth, Chula Vista, San Diego.
Yeah.
That's funny. I wonder if they probably went to the studio. This is one of these things where the guy pretends to.
Yeah.
that guy got a big old dome.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit beforehand. The first time I met you, you were 15. I was telling Albert last night, I was like, I think he was 14,
I might have been 14.
Maybe.
14 or 15. I knew I couldn't drive yet.
Yeah.
I knew that much. I knew I was riding in the passenger car, and I know Andy Chapman wasn't making me drive, so if I was 15, I didn't have my driving permit.
So you were a little man-child.
Dude,
You were very good at riding bikes. Even then.
I was very kind of blessed in the sense of when I hit 11, I went from weighing 140 pounds to 180 pounds.
Yeah.
Like there was one summer where all of a sudden I was a man. And then like I would show up at these contests. Like some of my best memories were the amateur contest by Roots, the AmJam contest series. And it was me, Garrett Reynolds, and Patrick King. We're the only 3 that went to every stop leading up into Roots Jam. But it was blatantly obvious when I showed up there and stood next to Garrett Reynolds. It was like, I'm not normal. I'm giant. I was chubby, I was tall, and I was big. And I was just like, all right, like the difference of bodies was just out of this world, And, but because of that, I was able to start doing 3 whips and flips and things, I feel, so much sooner. And coming from St. Louis, we were a be about it town. We didn't talk. It was savage, and it was every night was just us going to war. So I was bred to eat crap and just keep going,
Yep. That's exactly the vibe I got the first time I went to Ramp Riders, which would have been way early 2000s. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe 2001, 2002, something like that. And it was that environment, just the music, the everything, the dingy indoor Midwest skate park,
Is there a video from that day or from that park that is like one that I should pull up that you can think of, just so people can get some visuals? I mean, there's a lot of stuff popping up.
So Ramp Riders was at 2 locations. That one that you're looking at right now is the second location. It's been there the longest. And
this one?
Yeah, that one. And that one is the one where I learned most of my tricks. But for 2 years, Ramp Riders had a different location that you probably won't be able to find any footage of.
Was there a props thing though?
There was. We had clips and props, but we never had like a full section.
What was the Rock and Road Fools or something?
That
like Doyle Gap or something like that?
That's the
current one.
The current one.
Oh, that's the current one.
That's the current one.
Is that the one that I went to?
Yeah, that's the one you went to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay, but that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, but so Ramp Riders has been open since 2000, And for the first 3 years, it was on a different location. That was 2 stories, and like Matt Hoffman Pro BMX came through, and Standard was coming down all the time. But what was wild was just like, so the owner of it, Tom Raniolo, like godfather in Missouri, he grew up with Rick Thorne and Dennis McCoy in the BMX brigade. So this dude grew up in the 80s playing swap rock and like throwing bottles at cars just to get chased. And
what was the props segment that I'm thinking of?
They did a scene report. Walter did a St. Louis scene report.
Okay, all right.
And it was pretty much right after you guys had done the Ride BMX one.
Let's see if we can find it. There we go.
Yeah.
So just so we'll let this play while we talk about you growing up. So that was
first go.
So you had to redo that shit.
I redid that. That's a different vibe. And you can see right here how mad I am that I'm redoing it.
Oh, Cole was so sick too.
Dude, Cole's, man, I live like 5 houses down. Well, about 3 blocks away from Cole.
R.I.P. to Jimmy, right?
Yeah, Jimmy Turner. That's Tom. He started the skate park.
Okay.
Jeremy Dining was one of Adam and Garrett Williams' real good friends, dude. Dude shredded. We had the Gwilliam Bros from St. Louis as well.
Yep.
That spot's always fun. You've had some clips there, PK.
Yeah, no, I went to I did have a flare clip from Ramp Riders though. I'm proud of that one.
Yeah.
I was in Grounded, I believe.
Yep.
But yeah, around that time I went there to film quite a bit just
Yeah.
because it was a little bit milder winters. So when the weather got awful in Wisconsin where I was living, it was like a little bit of a accessible place I could go. And I remember one of my first trips there. You talk about like it was a savage kind of place, but also friendly.
Yeah.
Like friendly if you were down to have fun, like we like to have fun, right?
If you want to push your limits, whether it's learn the double peg or jump in the spine, we're about that life. But like if you're just sitting on the deck and like just putzing around, like you're wasting people's time. That was the vibe we had.
Yeah,
like, hey, we're here to do stuff, and it was mostly Tony and Jimmy Turner. Those 2 dudes, like they're from a place called Grant City, which is like a steel mill trailer park, and those dudes over there don't mess around. And they brought the heat, man. They were some savage dudes. Jimmy Turner ended up passing away. He took his own life. It was probably about 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. But, dude, we still, like, we have a memorial line for him when we all embody the send it, don't mess around.
Yeah, we were actually going riding. We were going to go ride street when we were there, like one of the first times, and it was like Ashley Hoffman and a whole bunch of people were going to ride some spots downtown. And I was talking to Tony. I think maybe we were staying with him or something like that. But either way, he's like, yeah, they're going to go ride like some ledges and benches and bank the stuff. He's like, I don't know, they're going to have fun, but me and Jimmy, we like to do shit we can get hurt on. Yeah. And it was funny because I was like, at the time I was like, okay, you're kind of speaking my language. Let's go. So he took me to all the biggest rails, and that spawned like my Grounded part, like a lot of the stuff that I'd filmed there. Tony took me to all that stuff.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if you come to St. Louis, like, we got the biggest stuff, and we'll show you. We want you to do it. Like, we got Fergus Air curved handrails. Like, get sick. So yeah.
And the ramp scene is obviously totally incredible. I mean,
dude, and especially it was so awesome growing up, like having all these dudes. Like we had the gangs of St. Louis. So everyone kind of had their crew, but we would show up and just have the most fun. And everything was based around the skate park and riding. Like we had Sunday shred days, which was like everyone would meet up at 10 a.m. at the skate park Sunday morning, and then we'd all pile into cars being like, what you got today? And you're like, okay, we're going to the Chinook's Wall. Like, Zach's going to whip out of it. There's a handrail over there. There's this gap over there. And, like, we'd show up on a mission, and when you showed up, if you called a spot out, you had 15 dudes behind you. Like, so you weren't about to just, like, walk away. You know? And that mentality was just, like, so awesome. And, like, we never segregated anyone, Like, when I first started hanging out with these guys, I was 13, 14, and they'd be doing these gnarly 20-stair rails, and I'd be like, yo, there's a 5-stair I want to check out. And they'd take me over there and then, like, give me the space to do it. And then, like, especially Tony, man. Like, Tony took me under his wing. He got an apartment next to the current skate park at Ramp Riders. And every day I'd go there after school. Tony would get off work, and we would just ride. And then on the weekends, my parents would drop me off at the skate park. Tony would pick me up, and he'd take me street riding. And it was always one of those things. I'd be like, driving down the road. I'd be like, man, look at that rail. He'd pull over and be like, try it. And
Try it.
Try it. He's like, try it. He's like, you want to do this handrail? Try it right now. He didn't try the rail. He would make me ride my bike back to the skate park. He's like, your mom didn't buy you that bike not to ride it. And like, I would try the rail, fall over, eat shit, and then he'd go buy me nachos and ice cream, just being like, dude, you just got to try it, you know? And that was the biggest thing, is like, fucking life's too short, man. You know, like you got to try this. Like, you have this bike, this is the time. And it really just like, throughout my life, I dedicate my fear stuff to Tony T. Like, dude, just step into the ring. What's going to happen? You know?
Yeah.
And
Step into the ring. Well. I like that.
And this could kind of be a lesson to anyone listening that has a scene.
Yeah, dude, he's man.
Tony T. So you said, like, you know, that there was no segregation. There was segregation, but in the best way.
In the best way.
It was these crews or cliques, and you can correct me at any point if you want, but what I took of it was like these crews or cliques, almost like mini gangs that you guys had formed, but everyone got along. Like, everyone got along obviously within the crew, but then when the crews got together, everyone got along, and like it was friendly competition sort of. But it was like, what I was wondering, because I remember some of the names of them. It was like the Dingalings, the Mudbutts.
Oh, you're really in there, yeah.
And there was you're gonna have to name the rest of them, but it was like so it was like kind of ramp riders, street riders, trail riders, sort of, but a mix.
It was a mix. Yeah.
Was there a cap in as far as the number you could have in your crew? Because you kind of didn't want, like, you had these crews, but was there like one crew that was bigger than the other that sort of dominated, or was it?
So when you break it down, it was like, all right, so the Bloody Fingers.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was Cole and Lee's crew, and they're the ones that made our local videos. They were the ones that I would say pretty much ran St. Louis, you know. And then there was the Sprockets, who were the old dudes that did demos that wanted to be the Sprocket jockeys, and then we had the Dingalings. And the Dingalings were Casey Otto, Ashley Hoffman, Sam from Tree, and then a handful of others. Those guys were like the fun dudes, and then they got their foot in with Woodward, so they were traveling around. They were the people that, like, they were from St. Louis, but like I'd only see them maybe a week out of the year at the skate park because they'd be in Colorado. They'd be there, they'd be doing that, while the Bloody Fingers had a TRV 900 and were like, yo, we just found this gap, and like they're trying to really build the scene. And pretty much that's like, everyone had their, like, the Mudbutts like ran the trails, you know. But then in the wintertime, it's like everyone was together at...
The names are so good.
Yeah. It was
like,
great.
oh yeah, Mudbutts. They're the trail guys. That makes perfect sense.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but would you guys have like a maybe an annual, like, almost contest, or no, video? Was it videos you guys would put out?
So
or like
Blade Fingers would make videos and include everyone, but there was a couple years we would do a bowling contest where everyone would just go together and bowling, you know. And other than that, it was just more or less of like who you rolled up to the skate park with. That was your crew, but then we all met at the skate park and we were all part of the Ramp Riders family. Of course, that's where it was just like, all right, like, you know, I fit in with the Sprocket jockeys because, like, for some reason, I was just so obsessed with the old school, even up to like 14, 15. Like, when I was 13, I was riding a Schwinn Torque Flight frame, which weighed like 11.5 pounds, while everyone else was starting to get on fits and things. And I think that served me well. Like, I wanted to ride like Jay Miron and Dave Osato so bad. That was really like my two people that I was like, they can do everything, you know. And as a kid, that's where I was like, well, this is what they do, you know. Like, I like Mike Aiken, and the older I got, and especially once I saw him ride in person, I was just like, all right, no one can ever do this. I get it.
You
know?
Get it now.
Like, when I was watching the videos, I was like, what? Miron's gapping rails and doing nose wheelies and doing 540 whips on a vert ramp and like riding flatland. Like, that's so much fun. And we had like just such an old school influence that I just was so about that life that like I ended up hanging out with all the old dudes, which was cool, you know, because it's like they were the ones that did demos. So I started doing demos when I was 14, and then that's now here I am 22 years later, still doing it. You know? So.
Kind of the extra, when I zoom out and think of it now, like this many years later, having little crews like that almost gives you an extra bit of accountability, because you got a smaller crew of people that, like, hey, when one out of the 5 is missing, like, you kind of notice, you know. But then if you guys had a big scene at the time when there's dozens and dozens and dozens of riders, it's like, oh, okay, 1 or 2 like trickle out and disappear. You're like, when you have the smaller crew, it's like, nope, you're back in, buddy. Like, you're riding with us.
What are you doing?
Like,
you're not hanging out with your girl tonight.
Exactly.
You're coming on Sunday. Like, I'm picking you up. You know? And that was like, oh, your car's broke down, no excuse. And so everyone had their people to like take care of them, and it was really awesome. You know, St. Louis is a city that I always say swept under the rug. Like, there was so much gnarly government and segregation, and like the city's so poor and just so run down. It's kind of the Wild West where it's like, it's scary, it's dangerous, it's grimy, but you have this platform to do whatever you want in this creative aspect. And pretty much that's like when Ramp Riders came about, like you look around and I'm just like, those dudes from that trailer park, those dudes are from the Southside trailer park, like this dude's running away from this dude's running away, and we just had, everyone had so much, and then we had an outlet finally. Yeah. And once someone gave us an outlet, it was just like changed the complete dynamic of so many people's lives. So big shout out to Tom Raniolo for taking that step and starting Ramp Riders, and big shout out to Chad Hayner for keeping it going for so long, being the second owner. That man's also done a lot for St. Louis. He started the South County Trails, and it takes very dedicated people to do such things. So,
absolutely.
Thank them very much.
Yes, thank you. I think even having all the good times I had there over the years, I never got to actually say thank you to them. So yeah.
I think awesome. my takeaway from doing the scene report was that it was a very, very cool, appreciative, positive, support. You guys had such a supportive crew of very, very different characters. Like the only people I really didn't get to interact with was the Turner brothers. Mm-hmm. I shot one photo of Jimmy, but I think he was super hurt at the time. Like, I think he literally had something broken. And it was like, and he was like, I'm just going to do a really high wall tap. And I'm like, I don't be okay.
I'm pretty sure he had just gotten surgery on his ankle.
It was something like,
he had bolts and things and was not supposed to even be walking.
So it was one of those things, and then Tony was not, I don't think I got to meet Tony.
So Tony, he's a machinist and he's worked crazy machinist jobs. So a lot of times he'd work third shift, things like that. And Tony's awesome, man, and he's definitely missed out a couple of those things, but that dude, the stuff that man's been through in his life is like, when you see him and you like get to understand it, you like get a whole perspective. You just can't words can't describe. Mm-hmm. And that dude's doing really good right now. He's got a couple of daughters. He's running around. He's skating more than he's riding, but he's staying active. So
that's sick. Probably not landing on his face as much.
No, just as much. I think he skates more because he likes to fall more. Like, that's the guy that,
Fair enough.
Path of most resistance. He likes, I think.
There was one thing that I remembered when I was there. Is like, obviously you were 14 or 15, something like that. I have a memory, and I'm not sure if it's 100% true, that you had a girlfriend and you were living with her and she was like 20. Is that true?
I wasn't living with her. So I might have had a girlfriend when I was 15. That was 20.
Yeah, okay.
I might have had a girlfriend that was 15 when I was 20. I might have lost my virginity in Casey Auto Skate Park.
And that's pretty wild. I remember going back and being like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was a little wild, but there wasn't any like foul play manipulation.
Okay, right.
It wasn't anything weird like that. Like the girl was a sweetheart. She had turned 20 as I was about to turn 16. It was like 3.5 year difference, and like she wasn't taking advantage of me.
Okay, all right.
The thing was, I was from the age of 13. My parents would so I lived in Illinois, about 30 minutes away from St. Louis. So my parents would drive me to St. Louis and drop me off at the skate park. And they knew Andy Chapman. They knew the girl, Ashley Green.
Casey's ex.
Casey's ex. She just got remarried. Her name is Sullivan. And they all knew them, so I'd stay with them. And I never drank. I never did drugs. I was always very honest with my parents. I was like, yo, I'm staying over here so that I can ride. Yeah. And like the others, they knew that Andy and all those dudes were drinking and what was going on. And so,
but they were still like fairly responsible. They
were so responsible.
I remember
they never drank and drove. They never put me in any danger. Yeah. Like we went to some house parties and stuff, and like we had so much fun. And my parents trusted them, and they never once crossed the line.
Cool.
And they were. I'm an only child, and they were as much of a family to me as any. Like they legitimately took big brothers and big sister roles, and I'm very grateful for that. But from 13 and 14, I was the man child. I was 5'10", weighed 180 pounds, hanging out with 19, 20-year-olds. You know? So I'd hung out with this girl for a while, and it was just like, it wasn't some weirdness. It was like you know.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I didn't know, like you see something at the time period, and I remember that thought, and I honestly didn't even know if I was 100% accurate. Obviously, I wasn't because you didn't live with her. So you at that point when I was doing the scene report, you were just kind of in that crew because you were there the whole time. I don't think you went home at all.
No, and then so once Casey opened up his skate park, he opened it up in Belleville, Illinois, which is a little bit closer to where I lived. And it was a smaller skate park, but it was super fun. It had an apartment on the upstairs, and we had all this stuff. And then Casey also had like all the connections with you and like Morgan Wade and like all these pros to like bring them through the skate park to kind of do these events. And when he did his grand opening, you were there, Morgan and everyone, and everyone was just like, "What's Zack doing?" And I'm like, "I've known this girl forever." Like, you guys don't like. I'm not.
Yeah, that was Plan 9, right?
Yeah. It turned into Plan 9. But
okay, what was the original?
It was called ICH. It was Is Casey Home? And like, yeah. But basically, there was a skate shop that had a small skate park, and one day Casey went over to check it out, and they were having a jam, and they're like, "Yeah, we're closing tomorrow." And Casey was like, "What are you doing with the ramps?" And they're like, "Nothing. You want this place?" And Casey was like, "Yeah." So he just like walked into the skate park, and then like with his knowledge of everything, like remodeled the skate park and then set up like an actual pro shop. And then that went really well for about 2 or 3 years. And then the X Games skate park in the mall shut down, and Casey acquired that. And when he acquired that, that's when he started. There was another skate shop called Plan 9 that he just like kind of consolidated everything together. And when he did that, he had like a couple bike skate shops in malls. He had that going on, but I think sometime after the recession, it all kind of dissipated away.
And so at this point, you're kind of starting to blow up a little bit. But by now, I mean, in your, like, I'm trying to think of what year, like how old you would have been.
2007, you're probably...
So 2007 was my first year riding X Games.
Yeah.
2005, I started getting quite a bit of coverage. I started going to like La Rev, and I had done some other things, and then like, at that time, it was really cool because with all the Roots amateur stuff, like I'd already been getting some photos in magazines, such as the Wall Downward.
And the Wall Downward photo was like a series, because it's not a trick that people did all the time, and you were 15 at the time.
Gnarly, gritty spot.
I could be wrong, but I think that was the first ever wall ride to opposite tail whip, because no one was doing opposite tail whips at the time. In my mind, I was like, I'm going to do a wall ride to opposite tail whip, and no one's ever done this. And then I did it, and it turned into such a sick photo, but then I was like, I didn't want to be that guy that's like, no one's ever done it. World's first. What's going on?
Right.
Now I look back.
My girlfriend's 20. I did the first opposite.
I'm a grown man. What's going on? Oh, man.
So I could imagine, just knowing what I know about the St. Louis crew, like St. Louis scene, that everyone was really proud when you kind of took that big time stage. Right?
Yeah. So, and it was cool because the Dinglings had their in with Woodward. So my parents sent me one year. Those dudes had been working there, and like, I had that mentality. Like when I showed up, like, I didn't ride bikes for fun. I rode bikes to get something accomplished. Like I wanted to feel good about myself. And when I went to Woodward, it was just like I had the resis. I always wanted to ride vert, and now here's a vert ramp. And no one's riding vert with Jamie Bestwick. And even though I'm learning to drop in, he's excited I'm there. So instantly Woodward allowed me to have like a dish dog position. And then once they allowed me to do that, there was like 3 years that it was like, okay, in the wintertime, I have this amazing crew back home that like every session is a slugfest. And then in the summertime, I have every foam pit, every pro, everything coming to me. Like this is the best way that I could ever, this is amazing, the biggest blessing where I was just like, all right, like there's no question, like I'm supposed to ride bikes, like this is what this is. And, when I was 16, I rode for Failure Bikes. Like Matt Bishop hooked it up, and then I'd gone to Metro Jam in Toronto, and I ended up qualifying 4th ahead of Dave Mira. And in that one, like they were doing a McNeil video premiere. I'm sitting there after qualifying, and I'm like, they're going through the list, and they're about to be in top 5, and Miran just is like makes everybody. He's like, yo. You don't even know this dude's gonna save vert riding. Zack Warden. And I'm like, he said my name after Dave Mira. Like, I'm in this. Like, this is real. And then at that time, I had learned front flips, and I could flip up the spine. And the next day, I showed up at practice like half an hour early because I was tweaking out. And then Mira was there. No one else was there. No medics, no nothing. And it was just me and Dave. And we had this like moment of like, he's like, this is what I do at every contest. This is what I do here. This is what I do.
Oh, fuck
and
yeah.
So, like, and the way that he was talking to me, I was like, it's on. Like, this dude's talking to me like I'm going to be here forever. Like, this is it. Like, this is the moment that I'm looking for. And then I ended up just eating crap, not doing good at all. But that was like this just a defining moment when it's like, all right, like, here we are. And then after that, it was just like, everything just started happening.
Yeah.
It was just falling in place.
That's sick that Mira recognized that in you, that he was giving you, like, he's giving you life advice.
So much life advice.
Yeah.
Like, and there was like that 30 minutes right there. And I was just like, this is surreal. It's just, surreal, you know, like, how do you explain this? You know, and like, how do you explain this to like my parents? Like, I went to this contest and I got 15th, but the dude like told me I had the juice. You know?
Yep. So if you remember, was he kind of talking about like mental preparation, stuff like that? Like does he say, I get there early, I kind of just look at the course, visualize what I'm going to do? Or is it more about like routine? I don't know. I'm just curious because I like being in the mind of someone who's that elite. They have their methods, and it's just
he just didn't want anyone around. Yep. And I was like, you want to be able to see if that line works, and if that line works, and you want to come here and do a 540 and land low, walk away knowing you're going to 5-whip it in the contest and land perfect. And like, sure enough, you'd see him go around, and I was like, that's what he's doing. Like, you can't do this when you have 30 people out here trying to foo-foo a fence that's 20 feet tall, you know?
Right.
And at that moment, it was just also, there was no music. Everything was just real. It was like you were showing up at a local skate park rather than showing up with medics and all this pressure and these things. Yeah. And then that little switch, I was like, all right.
It's like the movie scene where the kid is like in the basketball court, and then like Michael Jordan walks in and he's like, drops his bag, you know, like that type of thing where it's all quiet.
Unbelievable.
Straight up.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. It was so
I couldn't imagine that had to have been
that's cool.
I'm like
a
dirty
changer.
like just a dirty kid, and then all of a sudden like qualifying above Dave, getting advice from Dave, and then Miron telling me I'm going to save vert when I'm like, this dude knows I ride vert.
Wow.
Like,
what a game-changing weekend.
And then once that happened, it was just like, I went back to Woodward, and I pretty much was just like, all right, you either got to learn everyone's tricks or you got to learn your own tricks. Like, I can either go out there and try to keep up with Anthony doing these no-handed double fronties and all these things, or I can just start trying to figure some stuff out that like is going to make me stand out of this pack. And Jamie, once I moved to Woodward, that dude works so hard.
How old were you when you moved to Woodward?
So I was 17. It was awesome, man. So when I was 16, I had done Dew Tour, but I didn't make the cut. Yeah. So I had been like an 11th place guy. And
so when you say you don't make the cut, you're like out of the series, right?
Out of the series.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was like I didn't make it past the open qualifiers for Park. And then I made it past the first qualifier for vert, but then like got bumped down and then brought back for like a wild card. It was like, I can't remember the full story, but I was like right on the outside of it. And K-Rob and Kathy McGrath, they pretty much just like formulated this plot for me. And Kevin became my legal guardian along with Steve Haas, Maverick from Woodward. And I had made enough money that
Wait, say that again? K-Rob became your legal guardian?
Yeah, so K-Rob, pretty much, it wasn't a legal adoption, but he became my legal guardian because my parents were living in St. Louis, and like that way, if there was any issues with the school or if I got hurt, there was someone close
that could sign.
Yeah, and which is wild. Like my parents
don't talk to the cops, Zach.
Don't talk to the cops. Yeah, exactly. You know, so at this point, you know, it's like, I'm on the edge of it. I just got all this like kind of confirmation that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then now here's K-Rob making it to where I can move to Woodward. And at that point, I'm just like, all right, I'm moving to Woodward. I'm riding with Jamie Bestwick every day. I'm riding with Chad every day. I'm riding with the best. No one's coming up in vert. Like if I can learn some tricks in this, I can make some money and have a living. You know, I don't have to go be a union carpenter.
Yeah.
And as soon as I showed up, Jamie was just so excited to have someone. Mm-hmm. I feel like in the wintertime, because it's like he was going and riding like 4 to 6 hours a day pretty much by himself. Like Chad would show up for an hour, Kevin would show up for an hour, and they were constant and they were putting in work, but not the way that Jamie was putting in work.
Crazy.
And pretty much I'd get off school, Jamie would be there, and we would ride for like 4 or 5 hours. And like that time was like I got to see what a champion looks like, you know, like not just a rider, but a champion. And dude, it's you looking back on it, it's just like getting that insight of seeing someone that can work that hard. And like, he's had so much adversity that he doesn't talk about. That's the biggest thing, is like, that dude had so many times doors closed right in his face for no reason. And then for him to work through that, like if you go back in the 90s and like look at some of his clips, like, dude, there's this one clip of him at a backyard jam trying to do a 900 to like beat the Condor, and he does a 8-foot 720 to back wheel Fufanu, and you're just like, the gnarliest crash I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And when he gets up, he's just like, you can see in his face, it's like a look of disappointment. It's not pain. You're like, this dude wants it, and like he figured out a way not only to get it but to like maximize it. And
Came here to drop bombs.
he came here to drop bombs.
I remember that.
He was
Yeah.
like, you're gonna close the doors, I'm gonna blow the house down.
Yeah.
And that's
Yep.
what he did.
Yeah.
And you know, that's something like everyone looks back and is like, oh, the most winning dude, XYZ. But it's like, you did those first couple of years, like he made sure this happened, and that's so awesome.
I'm just curious, because you're riding with all of those guys that have their own thing going on. They have their own style. And I've always thought, kind of like you said earlier, like you should be your own person. You can always get inspiration from other riders, but like at what point did they ever coach you through that a little bit? Like, hey, Zach, do your own thing, because all those guys are doing crazy tricks, and of course you get motivation from them because they're going hard, right?
Yeah.
But you came up with your own stuff and your own style, and like, did they push that on you a little bit, or reinforce that at least?
They reinforced it for sure. I will say that's like been one thing throughout my career that I've struggled with, is like how I identify, because it was like one of those things. I went from being this like 4-peg street rider utilizing what I have in St. Louis to all of a sudden I'm wearing a Levi's shirt standing at like this crazy proper place with these dudes that have Audis and they go to barbershops and they smell good. You know what I mean? I'm like, what is
You're
this
in some
life?
like elite places,
You know,
yeah.
and Steve Swope, he's helped me out tremendously throughout my career, and he would always just be like, Zach, I would always go to him being like, I don't know what to do, man. Like, what should I, like, should I act like Jamie? Should I go, like, should I be on my bike 12 hours a day, or should I be in the gym with Kevin? Like, should I be, you know, doing
should I grind a rail in front of the stadium, or should I like, like what should I do?
And he would just be like, Zach, be yourself. And like, I never really knew what that was. And that was something where it's like, all of a sudden I have dyed black hair, I'm wearing bright colored Levi's. And then the next thing you know, I'm like, there's a lot of different stages of Zach. And, in turn, I'm very, very happy that I never let those insecurities of myself transpire into my riding.
Yeah.
And that was something where I was just like, well, this is the way that I do things. It's like, I'm going out here, I'm going to try to figure something out. I'm going to do it, whether it's a windshield wiper, whether it's a bike flip. And like, there's been so many in between, like, for me to come up with things that actually work, there's been 1,000 of things that like look really dumb or just don't work.
Yep.
You know? And that's where, you know, I kind of ended up landing. It was like, that was the one space I always felt safe. It was like, you know, figuring bike tricks out.
Yeah. And you've done a clip I saw recently that reminded me of, was it a 360 bike flip, or kind of like a corked out spin bike flip to one-handed table?
Yeah.
And that's just one of those where it's like technically difficult, gnarly, of course,
Where was
anytime
that
you're doing
at?
a bike
Just so
flip.
I just posted
Is it
that
on
on my Instagram.
But you got to put that thing on silent.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm gonna turn it off.
But no, it's those, I think that's like, to me anyways, the most beautiful mix of tricks you could have, where it's like technical, gnarly, also
you
unique.
put it all together, you
Like,
know.
who would have thought to put those trick
That's
combo
where I was
together,
like,
you know?
okay,
And
and for me, it was pretty easy because it's like, these are my 3 favorite tricks.
Yep.
So it's not this one. So the first one. Yep. Yeah.
and it's like a good table too.
So it's a bike flip 360.
Oh.
Yeah, like if you would have you snap a picture right there.
Yeah.
It's a nice one-handed
Dude,
table.
I was stoked.
Like,
I was stoked on that one. That was one where
There's
I
this,
always-
there's this what in the Antichrist?
Dude, when I
but
did
there
it-
you go. I mean,
yeah.
that's you.
That's
like
just
you-
trying to put things together that I really like, that I feel would look good but don't go, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, the first time I saw Rob Darden do a one-handed table, I was like, I want to do that the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, I want to do that everywhere. I want to do that every day. That looks like the coolest. And then I learned it, and I was like, yeah, I'm right. Put this with ice pick facing. Ice pick to fakie. I want to do these things forever, you know.
yeah. I mean, I don't blame you though. It's one of those tricks where you're like, I wish I could do it like that. You know?
Yeah,
It's
and
like
it's just for some reason it works for me and I love it. And I know I'm never gonna do it at one-handed tape 30 feet out like Morgan. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I can put it in here.
Yeah,
I can do this. I can pop it out here. So
so vert is a focus for a while, but when does Mega Ramp come into play?
So.
And I guess, were you ever really competitive in vert?
So I was trying from 2007 to about 2010.
Okay.
I was like really in the vert game.
Okay.
I was trying really, really hard. Wintertime, I would have all these tricks, and then I'd be able to ride the ramp and go 10 foot, but then like I don't know if it was pressure or like what it was, but I'd show up at these contests, and then I would either do a run with all the tricks and it'd be at like 6 foot, or I would do a run and like only be able to fit 2 tricks in there and not really bump up to where I needed to be.
Yeah.
And like at the time I was looking around and I was just like, dude, I'm riding with Bestwick every day. Like, how am I going to catch up on another 15 years of 6-hour days while this dude's still doing 6-hour days?
Yeah.
Like, there's not enough time in the day for me to do that. And then
that top 5 field at that point was like impossible to break.
It was
into.
impossible.
Like, I think like the only one that was able to do it was like Steve McCann.
McCann broke into the field,
and that was. Other than that, it was like the top 5 was pretty much locked in. Jamie was in first, and everybody else fighting for second. And it would swap around.
And Stevie broke in, and then a couple years later, Vince came over.
Yeah, Vince.
But there was years there where it was just like I was battling it out for the 5th place spot with like Dennis McCoy, Jay Eggleston, Jimmy Walker, and then like all of us were like, which was nice because with the Dew Tour that was a really good paycheck, but it was like I didn't get a single vert podium, and like I rode a lot of those vert contests, and I don't mean that and like I should have, but it was like the field was stacked, and that's where it was just like, how do you compete against Simon Tiburon, Chad Keggy, Kevin Robinson, and Jamie Bestwick? These dudes have been doing this for so long, and then
And you're also at this point you're riding everything, and I know they all rode everything. Like McCann,
17 years
he was
ago,
riding everything. But it was you also brought your own stuff, like the bike flip air stuff like that. Like we didn't see that on vert before you, right?
Yeah. So well, technically John Parker did a bike flip air.
Okay.
Like 3 runs before me.
Okay. All right.
Shout out to John Parker for the Drano.
Yeah, John Parker.
Yeah.
He's got the juice. He did it the like downside, so it was a bit different.
Yeah.
And but then the bike flip. So what was really cool is Dew Tour did the tricks of the week, and with the tricks of the week, I was able to win a couple of those. Like, or I won for the windshield wiper, which like really got me a lot of coverage with like the corporate world, and that really like made Levi's. And at that time, I won that, and then I got like Rockstar picked me up, and a handful of other sponsors. And they were like, "Oh, you're going to be it," you know. And then the next year I wasn't it. And then they were like, oh, well, we're going Steve McCann and all these other dudes, which was completely fine. But it was just like almost, it gave me a lot of coverage, but it gave people a lot of high hopes for me. Because they were like, oh, this dude's got the best tricks. But it was like, well, I'm still going 6 foot. I'm not going 10 foot, you know. And it was a little frustrating at the time, because it was just like all of a sudden you had all this hype, and then all of a sudden they're like, you're not good enough. And it's like, well, what did you expect? Like, do you watch BMX vert? Like, Bestwick's won forever.
And you're still
like, I'm 20, you know.
Right, I was gonna say you're still kind of a baby at this point.
20,
like yeah.
But it was.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense that you're like, oh, you guys thought I was gonna be the podium next year? Like, no, I'm like. Don't like flash in the pan. Like, like I'm in this. I'm trying.
I'm trying.
Like,
I'm making top 10. But
Yeah.
like, let's try shoot for top 5 before you expect me to be podium. You know. And I was really lucky that Kathy McGrath and Levi's saw the bigger picture of all that. You know, and they were like, this is just an aspect. And that was another thing too. Is like, as this is all going on, we're doing Levi's videos, we're doing Levi's clip of the week, we're doing all that stuff, and like, I look back on it now and I'm like, dude, I didn't have a day. Like, there were just years where it was just, we had 6 contests a year, we had 15 trips, and it was awesome. I'm very, very stoked to be a part of that, you know.
So you were riding vert for several years. 11, that was 17 years ago where those clips were from, and then this is 11 years ago. So I mean, it was 10 years of.
Which actually, like, in St. Louis, we just got, so it was a skate vert ramp, the Houston vert ramp, if anyone's ever seen that, but it was an old ASA vert ramp.
Oh, okay.
So just this year in St. Louis, I got a 13-foot, 60-foot wide vert ramp. So I've been riding it again, but it's also like,
I mean, how fucking how frightening is that shit? Like,
it's one of those things, like, I go and, like, flaring it's still easy, whipping it's still easy, and then, like, I'll be cruising at, like, 6 foot, and then a wind gust hits me, and I'm like, I don't remember this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, these are the things that I need to brush up on.
Yeah.
Like, this is easy, but what happens whenever I hit that oververt pocket over there, and I've not had, like, if everything's perfect, it's still easy. It's just when it's not perfect. So I've been taking my time, and it's also, like, what's the rush here?
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's not like,
what's the point?
I'm doing this because I want to be able to roast airs for the rest of my life, not because I'm trying to, bring back vert. And that's one of the things people are like, what happened to vert? And I'm like, well, everyone started doing everything on 8 foot quarters.
Yeah.
Like, why do you need a vert ramp whenever Sandoval's going 13 foot doing flare triple whips? Like, you don't need this ramp anymore.
Yeah.
And with skateboarding, it's different though, because it's like not the danger factor for them. It's like they can put their hands in front of their head. Like, that alone makes a night and day difference of like how you crash. So, I see people cruising vert, and like, now it's also one of those things where it's like BMX has evolved. Like, watch Corey Walsh ride. He's doing vert. It's just he's doing it with trails and in concrete. So it's I
mean, you see X Games. It's like those dudes. Every X Games course pretty much has like a fucking 12-foot section or 10-foot section.
10-foot section,
and
right
it's
there.
Like, and they do
go
all their shit.
They go on
it, So it's not.
Why are you going to do that? You know? And especially at the feast course, a lot of times they set them up in corner pockets where it's like triple whip and then this and this, and I'm like, that's a vert ramp they shoot out into.
That's part of the complaint with some of that, is that's how, and it's kind of the riders more than the course, because the course is dynamic, but the dudes just don't. They kind of do it. And they do it in the sense of like maximizing the amount of tricks they can do, not necessarily like the style and being unique, because it doesn't really get scored as much as So,
but I mean that's what vert was like, So it's good.
So vert obviously was a big foundation for the coming of Mega Ramp.
Oh yes.
And that was, what was the first year of Mega Ramp?
So my first X Games in 2007, they had done a Mega Ramp Open contest.
Okay.
And
it was like,
we were there, and it was me, Luke Parslow, Corey Nastasi.
Didn't Gary ride it too?
Gary did ride it. So it was pretty much everyone that had the idea of riding it. And
basically, they went around and they're like, "Hey, do you want to ride that fucking thing?" And everybody's like, "Nah."
No.
Was that when Rooftop 3'd it and stuff?
No, that was like the year before.
Okay,
that was like a
Rooftop 3'd it, and then they ran either a year or two of like select contests with like Kevin and Chad and Alan Cook and a handful of people. But in 2007, they moved into Staples Center.
That's that thumbnail. Yeah. Oh my god.
In that qualifier, I missed the qualifying spot by like 0.25 to. But it was to Matt Hoffman.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, so the legend beat me by 0.25. And I was like, I think I'm just not supposed to ride this ramp. I was like, I think there's something here. Like, I don't think I'm ready for it. And it took me like a year or two. And then something happened. And where was I? Oh, they started doing the mini megas. They started doing the mini mega stuff. And then so we had an 18-foot quarter pipe. And I was like, okay, if we have a transition.
Is this it? Was this it? The outdoor one?
So that was the first time in 2000, so this is one of the first contests they had. So this was in 06, and this is like, they didn't have the roll-in. It was just like Kevin and Chad. Maybe Mike was in it, maybe not. But Mike had done the 360, I believe, the year before this.
Okay, yeah. So it was like, it was very closed off at this point.
Very closed off. Because it was this big, dangerous thing that everyone's like, oh my God. And to be honest, it's like, as in 07 when they did this opening, Matt did a jam out at Bob's about a month before it. And when you showed up, it was like Kevin and Chad were just like definitely selling it. They were like, you're going to burn through your gloves. Like, you need this. And we had all this Ninja Turtle suit and all these things. And the first day I was actually too scared. I was like, I got psyched out. I was like, I'm not riding this thing. Like, why? And then the next day we showed up and I was like, all right, I'm going to put my pads on. I'm not going to look at the ramp. I'm going to go on top of the ramp. I'm going to taste this. Like, I didn't come all the way here not to taste this thing. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as I jumped it and did my first air, I was just like, those MFers are lying. I was like, I'm not doing a 20-foot air just jumping the thing. Because that was another thing. They're like, you're going to jump it and go at so much speed. You're going to go 18 feet. And I was like, what's an 18-foot air feel like? Like I don't, you know? And then as it progressed, it's like, oh, an 18-foot air feels like an 8-foot air on a vert ramp. You know, like it transitions itself out. But at the same time, like,
this is the bike builder.
Yeah, this is the bike builder. Frame is in there.
That's not my bike. Yeah, that's like Corey Walsh mixed with some brakes. This is a bunch of people's bike now still.
So steering, you go through the whole thing. Steering.
Okay.
Through,
Wow.
Hit change.
So change. Boom. I got my forks. Add to build. Okay, it's getting closer. Let's do the next thing. Headset. I'm gonna put my bars to Odyssey. Boom. Walsh stem right there. Add to build. This is easy. All right, changing the grips. ODI, soft, long necks. There it is, right there. Boyd sprocket, the third one on the list. Best cranks in the world. Where are they? Yeah, you could like put your bike together and see how it looks, and like the Thunderbolts. Boom, I love those. Odyssey Super Circuits. Nothing compares. Ooh, it's looking good. Can we raise the seat post up on here? I think that's it. That's my bike.
Yeah.
The seat needs to go a little higher, and the ODI bar ends aren't in there, but that's my bike.
You can build Dennis's bike. You can build any bike you want. They have some templates in there from like an S&M build or
That's
a
crazy.
trail build or anything like that. So Source Bike Builder.
It's crazy. You really watch your bike come to life.
Shout out to Source BMX. Thank you so much for supporting us for a couple years now. Appreciate you guys.
Big time
Love you
supporters
guys.
are the best.
So, thank you. Back to the show.
Things that I will never experience: an 8-foot air on a vert ramp and an 18-foot air on a mega ramp. So, do you know what this feels like? Outer space and Mars. Yeah.
I was always curious. Did you make any bike mods for Mega?
So I had a nightmare one time.
I'm sure like at least pumping your tires up more or less or what.
I started making mods at first whenever it was like I felt like the stakes were so high. It was like the first like year or two I like put wall tires on because I was scared of getting a blowout. I was like, dude, what's it like getting a blowout going 30 miles an hour?
You had a nightmare about it?
Yeah, I had a nightmare that my tire blew out going off the lip, and I was like, I'm gonna get some like the heavier tires might help, and I was wrong.
I have a nightmare story that came into real life.
I
feel you on that. Like,
I've lived the nightmare scenario quite a few times in my life.
So the wall tires, and then obviously,
and I made a couple adjustments, but then after that, I was just like, you know what? I'm a bike rider. Like I'm gonna ride my 20.75.
you take your pegs off.
Sometimes, sometimes not. I mean,
What did Morgan do for a while? He put in like some Swiss, he's just trying to go high.
He's just trying to go
high.
high.
Yeah.
There was definitely one time he had someone buy him some ceramic bearings, and like chain was off, and we spun the wheels, and like it did not go much further.
Really?
And I was like, that's thousands of dollars.
That's funny.
I was like, Morgan, the only thing that's going to get you to 30 foot is you.
Ceramic may have been like it could have been good in like a vehicle application when it heats up and it doesn't expand as much. And then
there's 1,000 different things, you know. And like I hope Morgan hits his 30 foot one day. You know, I pray for him. You know, but people messed around with it. But I'm just at the point now where I'm like, this is my bike. This is what I ride.
Yeah,
this is what I do. And like right now, I don't have pegs on my bike, but that's just because I forgot them.
You want to pop the airbag? I'm joking.
Not my airbag.
All right, so I think this is 2007. So this is like the open one. Unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna find like a full event.
No.
But this is. I remember this event because Miro rode this. He did the alligator wrestler or the air traffic controller.
Yep.
But then he struggled on the quarter pipe.
I think that was 2008.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm out.
Yeah.
then,
So
right?
I don't know if Miro was in this one or not. I could be wrong, but the alligator wrestler. He did an alligator wrestler, and then he did a flare whip, and he slipped a foot that didn't touch.
Yeah.
And then Keggy did. I can't remember if it was a flip double to flare whip, but Keggy's flare whip
was massive,
and it was perfect. He landed on the sticker, just standing up, nothing, and it was like one of those things where I'm just like, like Dave afterwards came up to me. He's like, well, and I'm like, you guys are too big for me.
Yeah.
You're too big for me.
Real deal gladiators. What's crazy about Mega Ramp for me is that, I've been around so much BMX before and seen it on TV and whatever is like super impressive, but then seeing it in person, it became like my favorite thing to watch in person. 'Cause it's like, this is so
it's mayhem.
Bananas. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's the simplest, biggest thing, And that was like one of the things I was like, this is a big jump and a big quarter pipe. Jeez. That is, this is what this is. And Anthony getting after it. Or that was McCann.
No, I think it was Anthony. I think you're right. Because I think it's going in order. Shout out to
Anthony
Ride
Morgan.
BMX. So, I mean, explain these days. Like pocket air. Everybody
exciting.
Explain these days, because obviously, like, at this point, in 2007, you have Levi's, you have Hoffman, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw it. So then you have a Target logo on your head.
Yep,
as well.
Target,
and then Etnies.
No, it was Nikes.
Nikes.
I was on the 6.0.
That's right.
Yeah. So purple pants, Nike 6.0s. Fucking, I don't know.
So,
dude,
2000,
sipping on Slurpees, getting ad deals. Who knows?
Yeah, it was so. I'd gotten this year. I was on the flow team for Levi's.
Okay.
And the flow team for Levi's was still dope. They paid $300 for our insurance. We got a giant travel budget, and we got all the product we want, which is honestly was more than what most bike companies were offering. I feel, So I had that going on, and then I had a co-sponsorship with Hoffman Bikes, and I was kind of a little bit on the outside. Anthony and K-Rob had like hard contracts with Target, and then I was just kind of in the middle floater. But they took the time, they like sent me to media training and like really kind of helped get me along, like ready for this stuff. It was like this year especially, I did like a couple.
Hold on, I kind of caught that late. I wanted to see.
I don't know if he was going for the double or triple, but he gets wild. 1, 2,
jeez. Falling out of a skyscraper, dude. The media training stuff, that must have been kind of interesting, because that was a whole different, that's probably one of those scenarios where you're like, world. I'm just a kid on a bike, long hair, whatever.
Different world.
And then all of a sudden they're teaching you like what to
Zach
say.
walk in smoking a cigarette or something. They're like, no cigarettes at press conferences.
But yeah, I mean, right? They're teaching you to say what to say in interviews, and when you win and when you lose and when you all that kind of stuff.
More or less, like I'd done a morning show and it was horrible. It was I said like 15,000 times. I didn't get a point across. I didn't talk about anything of importance. And pretty much at that point, they brought me, and they made it. It was cool. There was a couple other people. They had snowboarders as well. And they made like a whole demo thing for us at their headquarters. So they're like, hey, come up for this demo. And like we do this demo. And then afterwards they're like, hey, go in this room. And then like we step in the room, and it was like, so I didn't know what I was getting into. Otherwise, I think I would have probably been a little bit more like, but then once I sat down, it was like, yeah, right? Good old K-Rob, dude.
Did you see that?
You don't care, man. Here we go.
Crazy.
Oh, here's mirror. Okay, this was the mirror year then.
Well, no, I switched it. I switched it. This is 2008. So yeah, you were.
Yeah.
That monster logo,
dude,
subtle on the shirt.
Subtle, dude.
Wow, that's crazy.
Media training, like.
And then it was once I sat down in the room too. It was. Everyone was there, so it wasn't necessarily singling me out. And then it was like, oh, I can watch Anthony first, And Anthony had already done it, so it was like, all right, these dudes had kind of had some other stuff, so it wasn't too bad. But then I saw like that opened me up for so much more, and like I still kind of struggle with anxiety sometimes whenever I'm doing stuff like that. But in turn, nothing's worse than when you see someone that just ruins it. You're like, oh man, come on, dude, like just relax. And it definitely helped me out a lot with diving into the X Games, like, because once I started winning, it was just like, all right, you come over here. And then especially after Levi's left and Target left, I was on Fox, and then that was another thing where it was like I already knew so much about how their catalogs work. I knew how InCap works. I know what their marketing stuff was, so it was really easy for them to just throw me in the mix.
Yeah. Yeah. Such a cool experience. Something that you never would have thought that bike riding would have taken you to, but it's kind of valuable life lessons when you see how companies like that work. You never see an advertisement the same again, right?
Never see it
again. Next time you're going by a billboard or going by a storefront, you're like, oh, they put all these pictures here on purpose and in this order on purpose and on this color on purpose.
Everything here's planned.
Yeah. And it's
you've done media
cool
training
stuff.
as well?
I haven't, no.
Oh, okay.
But I've taken in college and stuff, a lot of marketing classes and whatever. But so I just sat in some meetings that I was like that were way above my grade, but just weird scenarios with companies and cities and whatever. So that's cool stuff though.
Yeah.
That's
I need to stop saying like so much as well. So
it's hard. It's hard.
I go and I fill the space. I go or I'll say so afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's very, very frustrating to hear it. But I can't stop.
Yeah.
We take a drink every single time.
Every time.
Yeah, you're hammered 5 minutes in.
Yeah. Your first win for Mega was it Barcelona? Was that the one?
Barcelona was the first Mega win. I had won a China mini Mega the year before, but so I won a mini Mega contest in China, which those were X Games, but the prize purse was a little bit lower, so like you didn't necessarily have as all the dudes coming out to it. But it was always nice.
Shout out to Google.
Yeah, Google. This guy, 2011. And once I won this, I had gotten an invite to the actual Mega Ramp. So at this point, like I had been going out and riding bobs and doing some stuff, but like I hadn't been in the contest. And at this point, I lost Rockstar, I lost Levi's, I lost everything. So like for 4 years there, I had just pretty much been like living off ramen noodles. And so once that win happened, it was like, all right, it's on. Like I got a gold. I'm going to like the actual X Games. And
so you were already on and off Rockstar from 2008 to 2011?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I only had 1 year with them and they pulled the contract.
All right.
Which, I mean, I get it. Like, they thought I was going to be a big dude, and I wasn't. But at the same time, it's just like there needs to be better communication with those things, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely hard.
Yeah. But also, who knows what type of savagery I would have got in with that paycheck. It's probably good that it stopped.
Yeah. I mean, a ton of money rolling in that young.
Yeah. So never mind. There you go. I was like, so what year is this? Oh, X Games Barcelona 2013.
Yeah. So
this obviously, I would assume, is a very high tell the grandkids type moment for you.
Yeah. I mean, so what's wild about it so this is 2013. And then in 2011, right after that mini Mega, it got me invited to X Games. And I showed up and I pulled 3 backflip bike flips in practice before the contest. And we're talking minutes before the contest. And the contest came around and I crashed every run. And I ended up getting last place. And I was just like, dude, what is this? Like, I've been putting this work in. I'm trying so hard. And so it kind of like set me back because everyone was really excited yet again, like Zach's going to do it. And then here I'm just sliding out into last place. And then going into 2012, at that point, I was like, all right, I'm going to move to California and I'm going to pay Bob Burnquist $500 a month so I can ride his ramp every day. And I'm not doing that again. And it was cool at that time. Anthony, Brandon Dosh, and Drew Bonanzan all had a house in Costa Mesa. And I pretty much like went out and stayed with them for like 2 weeks. And I was like, yo, let me throw a Murphy bed in the garage. I'll throw you guys some money and like everyone wins here, you know? And at that point I was able to still have my spot in Pennsylvania and still have a place to stay in California. And sure enough, I got out to Cali and we just started going after it on the Mega Ramp. So 2012 X Games comes around. I'm like, I'm not messing around this year. Like I'm pulling this, I'm triple whipping that quarter pipe. I'm sorry, Morgan, you took too long. Like at that point, Morgan kept trying to triple whip it and I had done it on vert and I was like, I'm coming in, this is what's going to happen. And I ended up stomping my run, and I was in first place the entire time till McCann went. And McCann went and did a double fronty to double whip. And I'm like, I did a backflip, bike flip to triple whip, and then that dude beat me by like 0.25. Yeah. And I was like, okay, like it's still at my point. I'm like, I made it at the time. I'm like getting on the podium. Kevin's like, dude, you got robbed. I'm like, I don't care. I'm on the podium.
Yeah.
I'm on the podium.
Validation.
I've got my validation over these years that like this is kind of like the work's paid off. But then I went home and I got on my phone. And when I got on my phone, like the internet blew up. And everyone was just like, Zack Warden got robbed. Steve McCann's a jerk. And like all these things. And I was like, Stevie's not a jerk. But like, you know,
Stevie's really nice.
Stevie's really, really nice. Like everyone calmed down. And then that moment created this like kind of corporate, like, you know, hotspot for me. So
feud.
It was a fuse where I was like, okay, this is awesome. And then that year they announced that X Games was going into a 4-stop series. And I was like, so not only am I the crowd favorite, not only do I have a trick that no one else can do, but now we have 4 of these things. And I'm the only bike rider still in California riding this ramp every day. Like I'm feeling pretty good about my odds.
So I want to circle back to the Bob thing, because I remember hearing about that and being like, that's crazy, but it also, I guess it makes sense. But so he builds the crazy compound. He still has it. And he, you know, I think in the skate world, it was just kind of the same thing. Like, hey, this is a major thing. And he's like, I spent $400,000 or whatever. I'm just making that up. So much money. But probably fairly accurate. And he's like, this is my bread and butter. You want some of my fucking toast? You're going to pay some entry charge, you know?
That makes sense.
And well, there's also one of those things like,
I heard he was charging BMXers less than skaters too, because he was like, you're not direct competition with me.
It wasn't so much as he just knows. He was charging me less, I think. So I was paying $300, but I ended up renting like a side-by-side Rhino because the one broke. So I was spending about $500 a month, and that's what the skaters paid. And it was pretty much just one of those things. Is here we have all these contests. He's one of 2 people in the world at this time that have one.
Yeah.
And like you said, it costs so much money to build. And he was cool with letting you come out and skate. But you would just have to call his buddy and make sure that it was open, make sure things were all right. But if you wanted to show up whenever, and if you wanted to film. And and that was the thing, is like, if you want a key, and it was a key holder pretty much program of being like, all right, I give you $500, I can show up at 6 a.m. and I can film.
Yeah.
You know, there's you can't say nothing. And to me, I was like, that's worth it.
That is worth it.
You know, like, and then the other skaters, and that's what was so wild, is the skaters who all lived out here were just like, no, that's stupid. He's being a jerk. And I'm like, I know your guys' contracts. I know this is a write-off. Like, what are you complaining about? You know, and sure enough, it was like something would break, and then no one would want to fix it, and then I would step up and fix it, and I'm just like, and in turn, it really grew me and Bob's relationship, and he always showed me a lot of respect from that. And like, in turn, there was a couple, like, one day I got a call from him, and he's just like, hey, come out to the ramp, man. And I came out there. There's like 2 helicopters on the ramp, and they're like Vietnam helicopters with the doors off. He's like, want to go for a ride? I'm like, yeah, I want the one with the door open, dude. You know? And the next thing you know, you're just cruising through, and this dude's like stopping at breweries and things, and you're just like,
in a helicopter?
Yeah, there's, yeah.
And that's how you thought of the bike flip to whip. Huh?
Yeah.
No,
I was drinking a beer upside down in a helicopter with Bob Burnquist, and I was like, I could do a bike flip.
That's insane.
I knew he had I knew he had a helicopter. I knew he had his like pilot's license and stuff like that.
Like he had like, I mean, obviously, if you are into helicopters, you have other friends that are into helicopters, and that was the thing. It wasn't.
I mean, I guess.
I think that's how it works. Yeah. But the 2 guys, like, I think one of them was a higher up at like the Stone Brewery, and like he was like, yeah, there's a helicopter pad over there. There's over here, you know. So it wasn't like, you know, super crazy, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, this is how you guys get around.
Let me go hit up Mr. Schwarzenegger, and we'll land at his house too.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. Dude,
that's cool.
Yeah, it was really
surreal.
Surreal. Yeah.
And actually, though, when I think about it, and all the, I mean, they'll think about like liability. I mean, in the U.S., obviously, anyone who's listening in the U.S., you know, like the liability and all that stuff. Like, it's that for a key holder for that price is not bad, even for back then. Like,
yeah,
that's very reasonable. I thought it was more for skaters. I thought it was like $1,000 at least or something. So
you know, and then you look at it and you're like, okay, this is, you know.
Yeah, like Bob is not getting rich off that for sure. Like, maybe off of other stuff, and good for him, but not off that.
Ramp, there's like seriously 300 sheets of skate light on there.
Yeah,
you know, like screws alone cost $15,000.
Totally.
You know, so
yeah, it does make perfect sense, and you know, in the sense of, you know, I let you come skate here, and then the next time you beat me. And it's like, do I get like credit for that? No,
exactly.
it's
get
like
a percentage.
Yeah, you beat me getting good on my ramp.
Yeah, so, it's definitely something that is makes sense if you've been in the game long enough.
Exactly.
You know, like, but when you're not in it and you're like just want to poke at something, it's definitely so
you were saying earlier the tell the grandkids moment with the like winning that contest and everything, like winning the Barcelona contest. It was also your mom's birthday that day?
My mom's birthday.
Nuts.
Yeah,
That's
so,
amazing.
yeah,
and she's the one who supported you early on.
Dude,
like
everything. So my dad was in the military. I was born on Air Force Base, and my dad supported my mom going through college with his military salary. But then once she kind of graduated, he got out of the military, and the military was not too nice to my dad. And so my dad struggled with some mental illness pretty much my whole life, and my mom pretty much she's got an amazing job at AT&T, but like that corporate world's hard to break into. And like we're originally from Southern Illinois. Like I'm from a trailer behind my grandma's trailer, and like my mom worked so hard, got her master's degree, and like now it's paying off. But like all those years that I was a kid, like one of the reasons Andy Chapman was taking me to the contest because we didn't have money, and like my parents pretty much would give me a credit card for hotels, and then they had like a Shell credit card and a BP gas card, and they're like, do what you can, and like gave me so much and like sacrificed so much so I could do all this. And then for me to be in Barcelona on top of the Roland, the fan favorite, and in turn this contest, like the Minneapolis contest got so out of hand, but like up till then, this was probably the best Mega Ramp contest. And like at that point, it was just such a giant gap. Like Morgan went higher than anyone's gone in contests. Like, and leading up to my winning run, it was Chad was tied.
That's why I paused specifically here because it's Byron's at 90, Satterfield's at 90, Kagi's at 90. And that's 1, 2, 3, and then you're fourth with 89.33.
That head judge is stressing. You could never see that. you don't ever want to see. You don't see ties. Period. But yeah.
So I'm standing on top of the roll on my mom's birthday. I'm sitting in fourth place, and I'm like, there's a 3-way tie going on. Like I don't. There was just such a feeling of like, I'm doing this, you know, like if I'm not doing this, I'm going to put myself through that floor all the way to China. Like, I'm not going to remember this. Like one way or another, I'm landing. And it was awesome and it was great, but it really, it spawned the moments that really I hold cherished, that where I'm like, oh, like from that, it gave me finally the security that like I could start going to Texas Toast. I didn't have to go and do demos. Like because of that win, I had enough money finally that I was able to like be what I thought was a BMXer, not just someone that's like hopping in a tour bus for 4 months to pay my bills so I can go to the contest in hopes of doing good enough that I can do these things. And it was just this pinnacle of like, I'm doing it. You know, I'm doing it, you know, like, and it's a moment that I love and I cherish forever. And the happiest part is just what came after.
Yeah.
You know? That's the awesome part.
Yeah, that freedom to finally be like, I'm going to go to the stuff I really want to go to and enjoy BMX for what it is.
Enjoy BMX for what it was. And it was like right after all that stuff, I went to Texas Toast, and I was like, probably my favorite memory, one of my favorite BMX memories was standing in line at the Texas Toast Dirt Jumps, and I looked up and it was Fids, Fuzzy Hall, Chris Moeller, and Brian Foster. And I'm like, I got an X Games gold medal and I'm hanging out with these dudes. Like, what is my life? Like, like I never met Chris Moeller, but he's like, hey man, how you doing? You know, and I was like, this is like that moment to me. And then like what spawned from that was really what makes BMX cool, man. Is like when you see these people that like truly have done so much. I don't want to say, like, people say they do so much for the sport, but it's like, there's the sport, but the sport is an outlet for people. So it's like they're doing these things for the kids that really don't have anything. And that's something that, like, kind of gets lost in translation, I feel. And it's like what Moeller's been able to do with S&M to inspire so many people to live such great lives is like, that's what's beautiful about it. It's not the Hallahan's doing the coolest bike tricks. It's that there's this whole community of people that found something that they're passionate and they love.
Well, it resonates because you said early on when you were talking about St. Louis crew, you said they running from something.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, it was a BMX became an outlet for a lot of us because of home life and because of you know, anxiety or stress or
just the things
escape.
that humans that have to go through, you know. And it's like to have something that not only you're passionate about but also is a healthy outlet, you know. And that's where BMX is, I think, untouchable, you know, like just that freedom of being able to ride down the road or go hit some dirt jumps, you know. That's
the experiences that are all yours
They're
too.
yours.
You know,
Exactly.
like a very unique experience of going down an alleyway that you would never otherwise go down.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like there's little elements of that like kind of like feeds your brain in a different way.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's cool to hear that this was, you know, the spawn of like being able to do that stuff.
Exactly.
You
And
know?
that was for me, like, I finally like that freedom.
Yeah,
you know?
that's cool. Another note with this is the camaraderie of, you know, like
that. Yeah, Chad.
that, yeah.
Chad, man. And my favorite part actually of this clip is K-Rob was inside the announcement.
K-Rob, was it at the beginning?
He's in the announcing. So he announces this whole thing. So if you listen to it.
I think it's got a voiceover. It's got like a Spanish thing.
Yeah, but
You can hear the yes.
You can
yeah,
hear Kevin
yeah.
as I hit the quarter pipe, and he's like, "Get it, Zach! Get it! Get it! Get it! Get it! Yes!" And you're just like, that alone, like having Kevin get to announce that was like one of the best things ever. And then Chad,
Yeah, the
like,
dude who took guardianship.
my
Yeah,
guardianship, so I could get
Yeah.
away from whatever I was running from.
unbelievable, man. What a poetic moment.
So how is the camaraderie with a you know that squad as well? Like, because I mean, you have Sebastian Keeb in there. That's another thing worth noting. That Baz riding that.
Yeah.
I don't have a memory of him being in there like that, but
He
you know,
he was roasting some like 14, 15 foot airs.
yeah.
Yeah, he was doing good.
Nice. So, you know, like I always thought of Byron as being very, very competitive and not necessarily he was not going to be running down there to give you a hug.
He ain't giving me a hug.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
So, Satterfield too, to a degree.
So Satterfield was super competitive until he won. And once he won, he realized it doesn't matter. And that's the thing. It's like you win this thing, and the only value that it really has is to yourself. Like, especially at this time, it's like, I won. I thought the world was going to open up and all these beautiful things. Things opened up, but it wasn't the money. It wasn't Teslas. It wasn't giant trucks, you know? And once he won, I think it took this pressure off him. And at that point, he like evolved into this like really beautiful person, you know?
That's good. That's good. I saw him in Salt Lake. He was super nice. It was actually really good to see him because I feel like I hadn't seen him outside of that element in so long after, you know, he stepped away and stuff like that. So,
and it's also one of those things like when you're at these contests, like, it's not everyone's best version. Like this is stressful, this is scary, and people's careers and their houses and their kids and things are on the line.
Yeah.
Like, and that's where it's like, if something goes wrong and you end up in a hospital, things can go really, really bad for your life. Yeah. And that's something that like people are like, oh, he's a dick. I'm like, yeah, but you're not on top of a roll-in trying to do a 20-foot 540
scared
you know?
for your fucking
scared to hold on.
Yeah.
You know, and Colton, he was super.
Not everybody can be Morgan Wade.
Not everyone can be Morgan.
Like that is a you know an actual reality where he'd be like, if Morgan would be like on top of the roll, about to drop in, and he'd be like, hey, and then just fart and then drop in, you know, like, and it's like it's a different breed of human for sure.
His thought process with fear is there's people out there with it, but not very many, man. He's not scared legitimately. He has full trust, and I admire it. But like we ain't all. That's not all
built
of us.
like that.
Not built like that, you know.
Because you know, like our Willie he's you know, just going from Morgan to our Willie's is he's still super nice, but he is intense as fuck. Like he's grabbing shit and he's like screaming on top of the roll-in and he's doing this big adrenaline dump and then he does it again and again and again and he's like kicking the ground and like he's so like
he's in it. Like, he's just
going to war.
Going to war. He's going to war when he does those things. And I never quite understood doing that in the public. When I go to war, a lot of times I want to do it by myself. I always was like, I'm going to go learn this when I have one or two people I trust around. I don't want to, like, someone that I trust that if I get unconscious, they're going to be there when I wake up and, like, not make a scene. And then I'm going to learn this. I'm going to show up to the event. I'm going to do it. With our Willie and, like, Morgan's mindset, they're like, we're going to do it at the event. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, you're supposed to have this before you show up, you know?
Yeah, like,
and with Willie, he's in his ramp setup. It's like he does have it. It's just shifting what ramp he's doing it on.
But I mean, for him, it was the quarter was. I think the
yeah.
quarter was the fear for him. You know,
Exactly.
so it was he just.
Yeah, he wants it, you know, and like it's a different, like he's. I have to understand that he's from a different generation.
He's a different planet.
Different
he's a freak of nature.
Yeah, that's where I'm just like, you know, and if you want to get up there and if you want to do those things, feel free, you know. But for me, I've always been the one like, you know, Matt Hoffman always talks like, I wear a full face so I don't want people to see me, you know, and I'm like, that's like, I wanted my riding to speak for me. I didn't want my celebration. I didn't want my face. I don't want you to be like the dude with the hair is the best, you know. I want you to be like his riding's cool.
Yeah.
And that aspect for me, I hold real strong. And we live in this day and age now with Instagram and social media to where you have to be this person that like puts yourself out there, you know, and you have to put yourself out there in these ways that like I don't necessarily understand or comprehend, but I know that it's part of it, and it's like I try to respect it, but at the same time I'm just like, well, this isn't my party, so you know, I'm just gonna walk away. You know,
it is a struggle. It's a struggle for a lot of riders because I mean, I would consider Brian very good at social media. I don't think I'm inherently good at my own social media. I don't like putting besides this podcast. I don't talk on camera. You know, I'm not camera myself. I've never been that. I try and convince myself to do that very often, and I just can't do it.
It's hard.
And so and not that you are out there like that, but I consider you to be good at social media, and I consider dudes like our Willie, they put everything out there. There's no necessary filter. And as you said, he's one of the ones that's like not fake either, because he's the same off the camera he's on the camera.
He is, and
100%, which is very cool.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I like about him is he's genuinely himself.
Yeah,
like, and I'm like, all right, like you're not fronting about anything. This is who you are. You're passionate, and you're screaming because you want to scream, not because you're putting on a show. This is what you do.
Yeah,
and you know, we all do things our own way.
Performative aspect is not is hard, and it can be taxing especially when you're in this scary environment as well.
Yeah.
So, but I guess circling back, this was Barcelona. Then this is the first stop of the four-part
series. Yeah.
So,
or no, this was the second one.
Okay.
They did Brazil.
Okay.
They said they did Brazil in April, and then this one was in May.
Okay.
So I had won Brazil, but I had not done the bike flip whip.
So you won Brazil and then Barcelona.
I won Brazil, and then I won Barcelona, and I won Brazil. I did flip bike, flip double, triple whip, and then at this one, I'm defending my gold medal, and then there's a 4-way tie. I was like, I got to do something, man.
I remember being so shocked seeing that. I mean, the bike flip was still. It's still nuts. Like now, right now, it's nuts.
That was going to be my next question.
I only pulled it in contest 3 times before I'd done this one, you know, and that's where I'm like, all right, this is still a fresh trick, and that's when I was like,
I remember it just being like, that is another dimension, man.
So then I do have a different question. How many times in total have you pulled the backflip, bike flip to tail whip?
Probably done it about 20 times.
20 times, okay.
So in 2015, we did a U.S. regional Nitro Circus tour, and that ramp, for some reason, it worked really, really well on.
Okay.
And I was able to do it in a lot of the shows on that one. And then now, when they do their hard trick section, they have like what they call the moon booter, and it's like this super steep ramp, which is like super, super fun if you're going for that. But backflip bike flips don't like steep ramps.
They like up.
They don't like up. They like out.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly struggling, which I almost pulled one in Columbus last year, and I'm hoping to get another one done on their tour this year coming up. So
are you doing the full tour?
I'm not doing the full tour.
They're fucking up. No, I'm sorry. No, you're watching this, Mr. Nitro.
What they're doing,
Mr. Circus.
What they're doing over at Nitro right now is like, I'm really, really, really stoked. They're doing their Australian tour and their U.S. tour. I'm definitely going to be at least at one of those stops.
Cool.
I don't really know what's going on too much, but the way they're kind of sectioning things out right now with their riders is like super, super awesome. And they're starting to like, I have a really, really good feeling that the next 2 or 3 years they're going to open up in some other markets that's going to like really make a lot of BMXers some money.
Cool. That's awesome.
That's great.
The Nitro, like they do have U.S. dates. I know it's like I saw it today, but I already am planning on taking my kid to the San Diego stop. So it's in December. Yeah. So December 6th, I think. So there's a full tour.
There's a full U.S. tour.
Yeah.
So they're starting off in Australia, and then in November they're coming over. I know December 6th is the San Diego, and I know they're going to Phoenix, Reno. I think they're doing Seattle, maybe Spokane. I can't remember. But if you go to their website, they got all the stuff.
They have a lot of dates on it.
They have all the dates on it.
So sorry, I feel like we've been Tangent City, but second stop.
Yeah, so at the second one, that's when we showed up, and that's like, you want to talk about that competition. Like the night that I won Brazil, I'm sitting at the bar with Matt, and Colton comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey man, I'm coming for you." And I was like, "You should, man. Yeah, dude. Like, let's do this. Like, let's knock these old dudes down." And he's like, "No, I'm coming for you." And I was like, "Bet, dude. Bring it." And then so when we showed up here, he was coming for me. Like, that is the thing in this contest. Colton did 360 backflip, no-hander to bar spin. He did 360 backflip, downside tail whip. He did 360 backflip, topside tail whip. And he did flip bar double whip, all into trip whip on the quarter pipe.
Yeah.
Colton swung harder than I've ever seen someone swung. Yeah. And when I was standing on that rolling, I was like, at the time, I'm sorry, Colton, but I was like, I'm not letting Colton win on my mom's birthday. I'm going to China. I'm going through that floor.
You could see. Look
right there.
He's like Vince is giving you the courtesy clap, and Colton's like.
At the same time, like, we all
are still friends.
We're friends, and like, I was doing the same crap, you know. Yeah. Like, it's like, the things were so high, and we were just trying so hard.
Yeah.
You know, we were just all real passionate, just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, it was the same. You know, I almost asked you about the same with the ramp with Bestwick. You know, you're on the deck. You have Kagi show up for an hour. You have K-Rob show up for an hour. You could probably feel
there was
Bestwick.
So much tension.
I bet.
Yeah, like Bestwick is a certain way before, and then he's a certain way after. You know, he's like three different personalities.
And to be almost a fly on the wall, seeing that dynamic had to be interesting.
Like,
I mean, you're riding with them and you're killing it too. But I'm saying a fly on the wall in regards to you're watching like your heroes interact.
Watching the interaction, and the thing is, I understood why everyone was upset. I understood all these things, but then it's like, I'm watching grown-ass men who make a lot of money riding bikes act like little girls on a first ramp.
I'm sure there was a bit of that.
And then at the same time, I was like, I'm so stoked. It's just me and Coco. Like, I don't think me and Coco would ever be like this.
Yeah,
You know,
you guys are talking about hair product.
Yeah. I was pretty bummed he got the Paul Mitchell deal, but at the same time, I get it. I was a little overweight. He was chiseled.
But those guys are like gladiators.
Oh my God, they went through so much.
And they pioneered the whole thing. So
and it's like K-Rob broke his hip like 2-3 times.
That's insane.
It's like, what is that?
Yeah. You shouldn't, as a normal person, you wouldn't do that once in your life. Hopefully,
don't break pelvises.
Ugh.
Yeah, they pay the price for sure.
How did the rest of the series go? You got 2 more stops.
So after this stop, we ended up going outside, and I got 2 bronze.
Okay.
The next stop was in Munich, and they had us on a lake, and it rained. It was just kind of fun, like just one of those things. And like, Kagi just showed up being like, I've been doing this forever. And like, sure enough, through the wind, through the rain, just did a flare whip at like 18 feet. And I was like, all right, like, here you go, dude. Like, I'd done my run, but like, I think I hit my brakes on the triple whip and was at like 10 foot. Cause I was like, dude, I don't have time on the ramp. It's windy. And then once LA came around, I was pretty much just like, Colton was starting to swing. Our Willie hopped up in that one, and then it was like, all right, like, I need to go back to the lab and come up with some new stuff for next year. Mm-hmm. And then that year, I was trying really hard to get on Red Bull. I was living in the Red Bull house with Anthony and Drew, and they were doing a Red Bull athlete camp up at West, and I was like, yo, get my name on that list. Let me come up, dude. Like, let me show them what's going on. And Anthony got my name on the list, and I went up there, and the first day they had like a trainer in the gym and they were like playing on trampolines, and they kind of were, and at this point it's the whole Red Bull team. So Martinez is there, Tyler Finagle, Coco.
I remember this specifically because there was like a little gymnastics girl that Corey came back and talked about, and he was like, "Oh my God, I am in love."
Exactly.
Sorry, Corey, but I specifically remember what what the camp was.
Things people remember.
Because you think he like showed me her, and I'm like, all right, I see it. I see why you're in love.
But they had built this like dirt line, and they had an airbag, and there was like some corporate people being like, you can learn your tricks here and do them there, but like no one had rode the dirt jumps. It was in spring, so everything was soft. And the day before when we were in the gym, the like trainer dude was like, you can't do this. And they were like talking about air awareness, doing backflips.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't do a backflip? He's like, yeah, you can't. And I was like, and he like singled me out because he thought I was just like someone hanging out.
Yeah, somebody's cousin.
Yeah, someone's cousin or something. And Anthony pulled him aside. I was like, yo, that dude's the only one here that has a gold medal. Like, he can do a backflip on the trampoline, man. And but then when we went to the dirt jumps, I had like a pretty big chip on my shoulder, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna shut everyone down. Like, this is what's gonna happen. Today is the day. I'm getting sponsored by Red Bull. And I went to do a warm-up 3 on this about 22-foot dirt jump, and I ended up bailing off it. And when I landed a little too straight leg, and I broke my tibia plateau, and it like cracked my tibia all the way down my leg. And at this point, I'm like, oh, like my ego just took me out of X Games.
Yeah.
I was like, what happened? And then so I ended up going to the hospital, and then the next day, I'm like at Woodward West, Anthony's still doing the thing, and my mom calls me and she's like, have you checked your bank account? And I'm like, no. Like, what's going on? She's like, the IRS took everything. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, that payment program that you set up with, like, for all that stuff from 2007, like, they took it and they accepted it, and then they saw what was in your account and they just took everything.
Fuck.
And I was like, instead of doing the payment program, they just cleaned out my bank account. So now I'm at Woodward West. I got a broken leg. I have no money in my bank account.
That's crazy. That's legal?
That's
because you set up you guys are what?
I set it up, but I had like $75,000 in my account because I had such a good year, and I was like, I'll pay this off on this, and then they saw that $75,000 and we're like, nope, this is what's going on. And once that happened, I was just like, okay. And I had about.
And so did they take literally
zero? I had zero.
Wow.
Zero in my account.
Emptied you out.
Emptied me out. And I was like, and I called my accountant, and she's like talking to some people, and she's like. And at that point, I was like, Mom, like, pull out the $15,000 I had under my bed. Like, I had some cash stashed away. And, but then instantly, 75 of that went to my surgery. And then I'm just, like, sitting here. And at that point, it was definitely, like, I broke.
Yeah.
Mentally, I was just like, what is this? Like, I have nothing. I'm broken. Like, even after I got back from Woodward West, I was living in a garage. And like, it's one thing when you're living in a garage and you're like, oh, I can get a hotel for a night, or like, I have this going on. But when you're living in a garage and you have nothing, you're like,
with a broken leg, you
can't leave. And then as that's going on, they're filming the Red Bull Ratitudes, so it's like Huckers over every day with a fucking anaconda. You know, I'm like, dude, I want to like, you know. And that was a moment where I like. Definitely were my
highest of highs, lowest of lows.
And that's when I started like drinking pretty heavy at that point.
Yeah.
That was the moment when I was just like, I kind of justified it as like, I can still bike flip, like blah, 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 blah. But it was just like the turning of me not dealing with emotions and like diving into not treating my body very well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
what year was that about?
That was 2014.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you know, I kind of bounced back from that. It took me about 6 months, and I was like, all right, like, I'm still going to catch Texas Toast. Like, this is dope. I get to go down to Texas Toast. First contest back, I'm down to Texas Toast. I go to do a 3 bike flip on the jump, fail the bike flip, go to flat, break my back. Broke my L4.
Oh, shit.
And broke my arm. And then pretty much like...
So then on the dirt jumps, the ones like kind of the open ones, or the ones down the like the tree line?
It was...
I mean, I guess
it was the first year after it was at the first year not at the lumberyard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I was just like, oh, cool. Like, I've walked a month this year, you know?
Yeah.
And adding that in with the drinking was where I'm like, all right. And I still was riding a lot.
This one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, it kind of had like one of those lips that was like mellow at the bottom and kind of had a kick up top. And it was nice because it allowed you to like roast back and do that. You know, God, he's so good.
I haven't seen this in so long. Very cool.
Very cool.
But so damn, dude, the just fucking 3-hit combo, basically.
3-hit combo.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I was like going back to St. Louis a little bit, and I had found the spot where some skaters had taken over an abandoned church.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's when I was like, oh, this is my calling. I'm going to put a skate park in this church. And that point, I kind of moved out of California and went back to St. Louis.
Okay.
And, you know, it was kind of a up and down hill from there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really happy with my time at the church, but I also am happy that
What was it called?
it was Skate Laborious.
Oh, help me out. Don't.
Libouris. Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
a beautiful spot as far as
Yeah,
was
so
like-
it was the first ever Gothic design church west of the Mississippi. It took them 80 years to build. It was the first German Catholic church west of the Mississippi. And essentially, when the church closed its doors in 97, it's in probably not the worst part of St. Louis, but it's on the edge of the worst part of St. Louis. And when the church
This
closed,
video is a little intense right now.
yeah, it's
Shot really well, but it's like a little too quick for me.
I
Yeah,
remember the
like,
photos in there just being incredible because of all the stained glass and the architecture and
all the stuff.
then the grittiness of the ramps. It was just
The grittiness
really cool.
of it, you know. But it was like one of those things. Like we would throw parties there, so it was definitely
that's
a party
insane.
scene. So this is their more current thing. So I had left after this had happened.
Okay.
When I got involved, they pretty much told me that I would be 25% owner of the place, and
Okay.
Dave at that time was 40% owner of that place. So,
Okay.
and he definitely owns the controlling shares of it. But at the time, Dave Blum. He owns a farm outside St. Louis that does farm table stuff, and
Okay.
he wasn't really necessarily that involved in the skate park when I got involved.
Okay.
And like he had his other stuff, and Dave Blum has worked with the City Museum in St. Louis. That was just mind blowing. But he really wasn't too involved, and pretty much we just like had like 10 of us in there, and we ended up acquiring the rectory, so we had like 18 rooms that you could live in. Like I lived in the head priest room, but like it was all legal. Like we never were up to code, and it was one of those things that I'm happy that I was a part of it, but it also, there's definitely some negativity. Like those people that are involved in it, that there are people that are involved in the church that I definitely don't support.
Yeah.
They definitely, their lifestyle is not something I approve of. And I spent years running with that, and it's definitely things that like I'm ashamed of. And it definitely bums me out that they now have this like kind of cult following for the skate park that I built, when really it's like, you guys didn't build the skate park, and what you're doing isn't really what I was trying to push across. You know?
Yeah.
And you know, I wish them the best. I think some of them, they've all had kids and changed a bit, but
it's like that co-op vibe.
It's that co-op
and
vibe,
and so
know?
that attracts people that maybe want to get something but not give something.
You know, and it's just like when you have an open
put
door.
it in a nice way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it, you know. And when I was there, I definitely used that place to like hide a lot of my substance abuse and things like that. And it was just kind of like basically when I met my fiance one night, like it was about a week into dating, she just like kind of pulled me aside and just was like, "What are you doing, dude? Like,
Yeah.
what is this? Like, you guys aren't legal. You guys are just partying. Like, you're better than this. Like, you know, like you got out of this town and here you are, like drowning yourself away in an abandoned building, saying you're saving St. Louis. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
You know?" And I thank God so much for her in that conversation, because it was like at that moment I just kind of looked around and I was like, yo, like all my friends are dying because they're all doing drugs. Like, don't hang out with people doing drugs and your friends won't die.
Yeah.
And at that point I took a step out, and it was a little hard because I had just finished the vert ramp. I was like, I just spent a year like raising funds doing this awesome thing, but I was like, if I stay here, I was pretty sure I was going to end up dead.
Yeah.
I was like, whether it be a car accident or an accidental overdose or something along those lines. So, you know, it was definitely a moment where I was like, man, I just invested so much in this, but I got to leave.
Yeah.
And
That's, hey, you know what? That takes,
I was going to say, that's like just says a lot about you, about your character, being able to recognize that and Yeah, sometimes you put a ton of work into something and you just got to let it go because it's not, it's starting to eat you, right?
It was eating me. And like, then still, and you know, like they ended up, like the church ended up burning down.
That's what I was going to say. Didn't it burn? Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild. I actually somehow magically was in town, and
I think I hit you up about it or something.
I was in town. I'd been doing stuff at Woodward, but I was just magically in town, and my buddy sent me a message, and he was like, check out the St. Louis Fire Department's Facebook page. And I looked at it, and it was the church.
Yeah.
So I got in my car, and I went, and I watched. And I can't tell you how gnarly it was. The bell tower on that thing was 170 foot tall. We had gotten all this old paint and stored it in the basement underneath the bell tower. So like every 15 minutes, this paint would catch on fire and just shoot flames out of the bell tower.
Wow.
Yeah, it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And like also one of the most heartbreaking. Like that building had been around for 200 years, and like, you know, supposedly it was an electric fire. That's what the fire department said. But like, it's one of those things. Like the building wasn't up to code. You guys were living in a building with the electric that's not up to code.
Dude,
what
that
do
is
you expect?
massive.
You know?
Yeah.
Look at that thing, dude. Like it's one of the saddest things ever.
Yeah. It was a beautiful building.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah.
So was, I mean, pulling yourself out of that situation was tough, and then was it kind of like an up and down road after that too?
Yeah.
I'd imagine,
Oh
because
my
there's
gosh,
just
so much.
so much adjusting.
So much adjusting, and because I mean, at that point in life, it's like I'm walking away from this thing, but like I had to like walk away from my whole circle, you know. And it was like St. Louis is like, I always say, it's a great place to be. Like if you're a little fish, you're gonna seem like a big one here because everyone knows everyone. It's really like tight scenes where it was like I couldn't go out to the bars without the bartenders giving me beer, you know?
Right.
So like instantly, like when I moved out of the church, I moved over in Illinois and was like, I gotta like get this, like I gotta figure this out. And it was about like a 3-year process till I finally put like the booze down. And it would be like, oh, well, I'm not doing this, but it's like, I'm still drinking. I'm still, you know, like I'm still doing these things. And finally, like essentially it was Kathy McGrath. Shout out to Kathy, R.I.P.
Yeah.
It's wild. So Kathy was originally the Target team manager, and she's the first person that told Steve Swope to put me on Hoffman. Mm-hmm. And then she was the one that told Kevin and Steve Swope to get me to Woodward. And then she was the one that put me on Levi's. And so essentially this woman,
she was a powerhouse.
She was a powerhouse.
She was so incredibly kind.
So incredibly kind.
Yeah.
And when she got diagnosed with her cancer, I pretty much was just like, I got to figure out a way not like I have to experience this. I can't run from this. I can't drink this away. I can't like, I need to talk to my friend and my sister as much as I can before she passes.
Yeah.
And luckily enough, like we had an amazing relationship, but it was like legitimately hours before she passed away, she called me and was just like, you have to promise me you'll take care of yourself. And I was like, you know what? I promise you I'll take care of myself, and I promise you I won't ever drink again. I'm going to stop doing drugs. Like, I got you, girl. And and I was that girl's taken care of me my entire life, so I guess it's kind of time to step up for it, you know? And I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for all that she's done.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Kathy was awesome.
Dude.
I interacted with a lot of people in the magazine days, and she just had like a kindness to her and a selflessness that you know.
She was amazing,
yeah.
And she took care of me so well. And one of my favorite stories about her was, so I got put on the Levi's flow team, and when they started the flow team, there was me, there's Dakota Roach, and Nathan Williams, and we all knew we weren't going to be on that flow team for long. And after the first year, they wanted to move me up as a park rider or ramp rider, and they wanted to move up one of the street guys, but they couldn't decide between Nathan or Dakota, right? Yeah. And this went on for like 4 months.
Yeah.
And finally, Steve Budnick was like, if we can't pick one, no one gets moved up. And I was like, at first I was like, so I'm not getting moved to the pro team because you guys can't pick the street rider. Like, and Kathy was like, calm down. I got you. You know, and I was like, all right. And then that year, they did the Levi's Choose Color commercials, and I was in all 6 of the commercials. I didn't have a contract with Levi's, and even though Morgan was the guy, underneath that, I got royalties for it. They aired it in the 2008 Olympics, I made $65,000 in royalties.
Jesus.
Only person that made more money on Levi's that year than me was Bestwick, and that's because he had all his stuff set up on contest contingency.
Yeah.
I made so much money off that commercial, and Cassie's like, I told you I'd take care of you. And I was like, yeah, you did, girl.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great, because that commercial probably took you what, a day, 2 days to film?
It was
or
a weekend.
A weekend.
One weekend. And it was wild. I didn't know what I was going to get. And then it was just the royalty checks just come to you. And you're like, some days it's 1,000, some days it's 5,000, some days it's 30 cents. And it was just like the biggest, coolest surprise ever. And she was like, I had that planned all along. That's like, sure you did, Kathy.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Too funny. Well, damn, dude. Like, I mean, that decision. I know Kathy passed away like 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
It was just about a year and a half now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then I quit drinking 6 months before she passed.
Okay.
And I was like, dude, I need time to I need to talk to her and remember the conversation. And I want her I want to be coherent. I want to experience this. It's horrible, but I want to.
And then, so you make that decision, like, hey, I want to experience this and be lucid. But is it literally just like cold turkey?
Like I said, I mean, it had been this process of me like kind of cutting things out. You know,
Yeah.
it kind of started with like the drugs got dropped, and then it was like, okay, like I'm gonna stop staying up all night drinking. I'm only gonna drink these hours. You know, so it wasn't necessarily cold turkey. It was a long process of me like, oh, I've been sober now for 3 weeks. I can have another beer. You know, and it wasn't until that 6 months I was like, all right, I need to stop. And I didn't really know that I was going to stop forever. But then once Kathy brought that to the table, I was like, all right, well, this is it. Like, I got you, girl. Like, I got you.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Which it honestly makes it a lot easier for me. Because it's like, instead of just being like, oh, why can't I have that drink? It's like, oh, I made a promise to like one of the most important people in my life.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do this, you know?
Very cool.
And for you, I mean, but shout out to you for recognizing that this is someone who's helped me so much, and they want to see me succeed and want the best for me. Exactly. And so to kind of like do it in her honor, but then also, like you said, you want to be lucid for this. You want to remember this. That's, I guess, in a awful situation, that is the best attitude to have, is just what can we learn from this? How can we help each other through this? And
that's like one of the things that's wild with Kathy is like, I've had a lot of people pass away in my life, but like she was the only one that I ever got any closure with. And it was always just like, oh, like I get the phone call and like Jimmy killed himself. Like, oh, I got the phone call, like they found homie dead. Like, oh, homie died in the motorcycle accident. You know, it never was this like acceptance of death. So I always had this thing where I was just like, I never really had those tools to deal with that. And I think that led so much to my substance abuse that once I was like, this is what you got to deal with. This is life. This is real.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way, no matter what you've done, it's not gotten better. So let's do it.
Can't run.
You can't, there's no running.
Yeah.
I've tried every which way I can run except for, you know, the ultimate. So, yeah.
Heavy,
Yeah.
but I mean, fucking great to hear.
And it's also on turn, it's like now life's so much more exciting, you know, like I don't want to be one of those people that's just like, sober life's the way to go about, you know, but like, it's definitely, now that I'm in California, it's just like, my mind's like learning things again. It's like you get to re-experience all these things, and it's like there's so many places I've been that like are just fuzzy that I'm like, oh yeah, this, that, and it's really been one of the biggest blessings for me.
Yeah,
you know, for sure.
Year and a half, obviously you're doing the shows right now. Fiance was there during Skate Liberia, so still fiance.
Still fiance, yeah.
We've been that's obviously life is pretty good overall. You're still doing, you know, what's life back home?
Yeah, so everything's going awesome right now. Pretty much, like I said, a year and a half sober, and going on 2 years in October now. So that's amazing. My fiance, about 2 years ago, we went to open up a tattoo shop and ran into some landlord issues, but we right now just moved locations, and her business is going awesome. Like, she's killing it, and it's really nice to see her hard work pay off, especially like throughout this whole process. She's been just such an amazing person for me. Like, to have someone there.
Sounds like it.
Like, first off, like,
hey, I love you in the first week. I basically love you. I'm concerned about you.
You are ruining your life, and you can be something greater, you know? And she's like, Italian through and through, so she's a little bit of a hard ass, but I love it. I love it, dude. I need
She'll
my
just
ass
tell-
checked.
she'll just tell it like it is.
She will tell me how it is, and
Yeah.
I'm like, you right.
Yeah.
You know, but
It's got to feel good, you know, her, well, I guess restarting or relocating a business. There's so many hard, difficult things about
Dude.
that. She's been your rock so many times. Now you have the chance. It feels good when you have the chance to pay it back, right?
exactly,
Like,
you know, and it's just like the simple things of like build out, like, you know, like I've done, like, I had to put up some walls, and she wanted archways, and it's like, why build ramps? Like, I got you,
Yeah.
girl. You know,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
do this.
It's an upside down ramp.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so it's been super, super awesome. And then now the move's over. Nitro Circus is having me back out doing their Walmart stuff. I'm gonna hop on a couple ASA tours, but what I'm really excited about is I'm in the process right now of starting up a nonprofit, and basically it's called BAZA. It's the Bike and Skate Association, and what I'm working towards is getting a indoor facility, but like instead of trying to make it like a full-blown skate park, I want to make it like a smaller down version of like Nick Bruce's brew house.
Okay.
You know, like make it kind of 5 foot, not 6 foot. You know what I mean? Like make it a lot more entry level, and the nonprofit's going to give out bike and skate packages that come with lessons to the place.
Very
so
cool.
essentially, you know, it's like, all right, if you're going to give out 100 packages a year, and then we teach these kids lessons and start getting them in a place and like kind of showing them the pathway of like what action sports is. You know, it's always so wild to me, because it's like I come out here to California, and it's just like everything's out here. Like everything's out here. Everyone's educated on everything. Like whether it's like action sports through snowboarding, skating, surfing, whatever. It's just like there's all this stuff, but it's
The culture is just, it's natural.
The
Yeah,
culture's
it's natural. Yeah.
And right now in the Midwest, we have these cities that like we don't have local skate parks. We don't have anything going on, but the age of these people, they did grow up watching X Games. You know, it's like they are now getting into that middle-aged position where it's like they can support these causes and do these things, but they just can't take the reins because they're busy building their lives, you know. So I've been doing a lot of outreach stuff. I'm pretty much just waiting on the actual U.S. government. I'm formed in Missouri right now, and yeah, I'm pretty stoked. So if you guys are following me, keep an eye out on that. And
Very cool.
I'm hoping to do some stuff. You know, Steve Crandall with what he does with the Rad Share is just like, I think the coolest thing. And
Yeah.
like out of all BMX, I think the only thing I like would complain about is there's not enough riders doing that. And that's like, you know, when I was coming up, it was like Jamie Bestwick did an indoor skate park contest at the Flow, and then Alan Cook would be the bakery. Exactly.
Bakery
Yep.
and this contest series you do, Van. Why am I blanking?
Oh, uncovered. Yeah.
Uncovered, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where
That's where we got Unclicked. Is uncovered, Unclicked. No,
yeah, you
that's-
know, and you know, I really implore some of these riders right now that are banking it to do some stuff with their community, you know. And
Yeah.
like right now you have this push, and like BMX is blowing up in such a big way. You know, you have these, you know, Jacob Thymes, Brady Bakers, all these people and all these things, and it's like it's really easy to get caught up in the go, but like please stop and look around at the other riders, you know.
Yeah.
Like
And,
there's things
and
to do.
you need somebody to explain the idea of like, hey, it's not always about like the gold medals and the
not.
winnings and the money and stuff like that.
Exactly.
It's about the experience and the friends that you make and the
Exactly.
camaraderie of eating shit together.
The
You know, like really, that's
You know?
that's it. Man, we went out and we
Yeah.
fucking, I'm bleeding from 3 different spots. Like
Yep.
today was sick.
Yeah.
Today was sick.
You know, like that's
Yeah,
That's-
those are those moments.
yeah.
You know, that's what it's about. So, I'm just been, you know, real stoked that like it's wild because I kind of had to take a couple of years off there whenever I was really getting sober, because it was like one of those things I'd go to the trails and like be pounding beers while I'm trying to do one-hand tapes. And,
Yeah.
like, it worked for me, but it wasn't working for me, you know. So I took a step back, and it's wild because now that I'm back on the bike, I feel better because I'm not drinking 30 beers a day.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking
You know,
good.
thanks,
You're
man.
looking you're
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
trim too.
That was
so-
like one of the things, you know, like after I
You see, you're a 12-year-old weight right now.
It's right now I weigh 178. I wrestled in when I was 14. I wrestled in the 180 class. I've not weighed this
That's
since I
insane.
was 14.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I was kind of at one point I like quit all the smoking and partying and all the drinking, and I was just like, well, I did promise Kathy I'd take care of myself, like as I was eating gas station food.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
All right.
One step at a time. Yeah.
Taking this next step. Let's
Yeah.
do this. And
Yeah.
now I've been on like, I haven't had like soda or like a Powerade in like 8 months. And I'm like, all right,
Nice.
like I feel good. Like, don't get me wrong. That stuff's awesome. But in turn, it's just like now I'm like, if I felt bad riding my bike because I drank so much, as I get old, if I can be healthy and just level out to what I felt, if I can just, when I'm 43, if I can ride my bike how I was hungover when I was 33, I'm gonna be just fine.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. No, it's true. And then that's reality. Like there was a time period, I wouldn't say I am right now, where I felt like I was a better bike rider than I've ever been in my entire life. It just, my willingness to like fall wasn't the same as it was, 5-10 years earlier. But I'm like, I know I could do it, but there's that like 10% chance that I don't, and I'm not even willing to take that.
10%.
Where before it'd be like 40% chance I don't make it, I don't care.
like that's also where it's like with these nitro circus shows, and like even with box jump shows now, they're all on airbags.
Yeah.
To where I'm like, okay, that 10% just got a lot easier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, especially like so this past weekend, big shout out to Matt Meach and Stomping the Flip Bike Flip. But it's like, up till then, I kind of had this like, all right, I can bike flip, I can 360 bike flip, and I can flip bike flip. Like I have 3 tricks that I can do in a nitro circus show that's not stepping on anyone's toes and that no one's coming over to like dive in on. So it's definitely made like my little marketing in that aspect easy. But now it's to the point where it's like, all right, like,
well, that's a good run, man, because there's not many tricks that people don't do. Think about the front bike flip.
I'm
that is
and that's my biggest, like, what makes me so happy is like, I pulled my first bike flip in 2009. I did my first one in competition in 2010. And then it's like, other than Matt, I've only seen one other person pull one. And I was like, and it was an Instagram video of a kid in Australia. And I'm just like, okay, so this is like, I got really, really lucky.
Yeah.
I got really,
means
really
that shit's
lucky.
hard.
Yeah. Well,
That's
and
that
even
too.
As Matt was trying, it took Matt probably about an hour and a half, probably like 40 goes. And I was like, this is it, dude. Like, this is this trick. This is why Kyle Baldock did not want to mess with it, because you're never going to have it dialed. Like, you're going to crash on this trick. And I accept that because I'm so good at crashing. Like, that's where I enjoy it. And it's wild now because it's like, I'll send a bike flip and I'll crash. And I'm like, I'm warmed up. Now let's try something,
It's
and
funny
like,
because I was going to ask you that, because you've said some stuff throughout this interview where I've been like, I mentally relate to that. Kind of like I'm standing up there and I'm either going to pull it or I'm going through the floor to the other side of the earth. Yeah.
One or the other.
But I was curious about that too, because it just, I guess it's the kind of thing, like, I hope with this trick, with the bike flip stuff, at least, you never thought it was whack. Because there's some stuff that I've done, like maybe that I'd done that no one really copied or emulated. And I'm like, oh, is it because it's stupid? Like, is it because it's stupid? But I hope, like with that, it's just, I'm sure because it's just straight up gnarly.
There's a lot of dumb tricks. I don't think back to the bike flip is one of them.
I think if it was dumb, I wouldn't have had such a lucky run with it. It would have been like 3 years, then people would have been like, come on, dude. That's not cool, you know? So, and that's just, I'm very, very fortunate for it. And it's awesome. It was so much fun having someone else try it. I didn't think when this moment came into the time, I was like, how am I going to feel? And then when I was watching him, I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome. Like, I'm stoked on this. Like, all right, cool, dude. Like, I now have a friend. And now I have someone to relate to. And
it's a continuing of the legacy in a sense. You're like, oh, I get to see it live on past me.
Live on, man. So,
what I guess the only question I have left is, if Mega Ramp ever came back, would you at least raise your, whether or not they actually,
the fact that I'm sober now and that I got a vert ramp in St. Louis, I put that ramp up, I want in. I want in. Like that's, and that was like one of those things. Whenever I retired from X Games, it was when I was drunk. I was drunk. I was drunk. I didn't know what I was doing. I was scared. I had a lot of things going on. I didn't know where my life was going. And, if they go down the mini mega path, I definitely probably won't jump into that just because it's like, all right, but like if you guys want to put the 27-foot quarter pipe up, like I'm at this stage now, and especially with like Nitro Circus bring me back in, I'm like, I got some stuff I want to do.
That's
you know
it.
what I mean?
It's good to
like
hear.
I got some stuff. And that being said, even if they don't bring it back, like Bob's is still there. Like I'm planning on trying to go there here in the next couple of years, and like it's not going to be some Nitro Circus triple flip thing, but it'll be something different. You know what I mean? It'll be something fun, and that's like, I'm just so happy and blessed to like be at this stage in my life where it's like, dude, I'm 36. I've managed to have a string of gnarly injuries, but still be incredibly healthy, and like still have the support of people like, you know, Nitro Circus and Division and Hoffman Bikes. So it's like,
and my
fiance, Megan is the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm pretty sure, like, I don't think I would not be doing too good if she wasn't here.
Shout out to Megan.
Well,
Shout out to Megan.
I think another kind of like daily victory you could have, obviously, is, you know, staying sober. But now especially, you've reached a point where it's been so long and you've clearly like done so well in your journey so far that now you can be an inspiration to others. Like, and I'm sure you probably already get messages from people, but like, I don't know if you'd be open to that, if like, if you put that out there, like, hey, if you're struggling and you want to chat about something, send me a message, because that could be like
and
daily victories for you and them.
Exactly.
You know,
like,
I think
with losing so many people, like, we live in this day and age now to where it's just like everyone wants to blame all these things, but it's like mental health is real, and like especially for young men, it's super, super hard. And if anyone's out there, if they ever need anything, please reach out. I'm pretty much either just doing shows or doing nothing, so like holler at me, you know. And with my nonprofit, one of the things that I definitely am pushing is the mental benefits of action sports, you know. And it's just like, there's so many things that come from action sports that people don't understand that can really make a difference in this world. And, you know, it's the hardest things that we're going to go through is losing our friends and family, like throughout life. Like when you die, you don't feel it, but like when your friends and family die, it's really, really hard. And if anyone's out there, if they need anything ever, please reach out and check on your friends. Let them know you love them, man. Like life is too short, and like crazy things happen all the time, you know, like, so, you know, RIP Landon Gideon, you know, like, so I had done the Texas State Fair 2 or 3 years ago, and out of the 5 riders, like we had a skater, Kashad Johnson, who died in a car accident in Dallas, and then Landon Johnson died in a motorcycle accident. Gideon, yes, you know, so it's just like, you never really know, so make sure you let your people know you love them.
Yeah, absolutely.
The outpouring, I did that post on BMX recently, and the outpouring of just like the responses, like,
and it's a tragic thing, you know, and it's super sad, and like, but
that is life. And that the fucked up thing, and I feel like I may have said it on the podcast before, so I apologize, but I had I was like 12 years old, and I was talking to my granddad, and I was like, where are all your friends? And he's like, they're all dead. He's like, I'm the last one. And I was like, whoa. Like it hits, you know, it hit 12-year-old me. I was like, whoa, that is crazy. Like, that's like, he outlived everybody. That's fucking life. It is crazy. So you have to learn how to deal with it at a point, because otherwise it's
not going to stop.
So dude, I appreciate you coming.
Dude, thank you so much for making time. You know, I had this kind of
media training worked well.
Oh, thank you.
You crushed it.
Oh, appreciate it. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time, man. It's you know, I figured I was out here, and I might as well hit you up, and
I appreciate it. Yeah,
touch base with everyone. So.
Tell Micah to hit me up too. It would be cool to hear a Micah podcast.
Absolutely.
I know he talked to me about it in the past. I think he got tired of asking, but I would be down for if he's around. So.
I will say it's hard for Micah, because a lot of times he's so busy traveling, and now he has so much responsibilities when he's traveling, that he's just like a giant stress ball, and I just want to like squeeze him, being like, where's my friend at? You know. But I also get it whenever you're pulling, you know, a 15,000-pound ramp, and then you're worried about 8 kids herding cats trying to do no-handed double backflips, and you're just like, I get it, dude, I get it, but like, you know, this is supposed to be fun.
All right, we'll call it for this one. Shout out to Zach.
Thank you guys.
I appreciate you, Brian, coming and sitting down. Shout out to Source and Dales for sponsoring the podcast. Morning episode, so no, we got a full functioning day of life. So that's it for this episode of Unclicked. I don't know.
Thank you. It's
good.
been a
Dennis
pleasure,
usually
man.
does the sign off. I was like looking. like,
there was
I don't
one
know.
more
yeah.
thing. I want to send a big shout out to Four Hands Brewery in St. Louis. Over the past 5 years, they have a beer line called Citywide, and all the proceeds from that go to nonprofits in St. Louis.
Oh,
and
wow.
they've given over $2 million in the past 10 years, and they've been sponsoring trail jams, and they've really been a giant help to me. They do a whole NA beer line. So thank you, Four Hands. Sorry that it's last minute that I brought you up.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All good.
All right. Cheers. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Peace.
No, that was good, dude.
That was
Hell
awesome.
yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I could tell how you were nervous in the beginning, and then it was like,
Yeah.
because you can kind of see a little. There's always a little quiver in people, and a little in the beginning, and then it just went away, like